So, Hoeun,
What's up?
how did you feel about the interview with Phil?
I thought it was pretty good. I could tell that Phil is a very good talker. And he could carry the conversation. So I'm just hoping that every guest that we have is like that, but maybe not.
No, Phil's definitely a character, and I think that's why people recognize him as the front man for ClubFR, and they've recognized him as that guy for so long because for so long he didn't even have a car like we were talking about, but he's still running the events. He was still hosting, calling shots, dealing with the track, setting up all that stuff. So
that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a lot of work for a little pay. So it's all about.
I mean, it's all passion project at that point.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So, anyways,
wait,
that was the interview.
Did he have his Corolla through all that? You said there was a point he didn't have a car while he was doing all this.
So from the moment I met Phil in 2007 until I want to say sometime in 2014, maybe, when I first, as far as I know, he didn't have that Corolla. So he didn't have a car for a long time, as far as I knew. Or he didn't have the Hachi. I think he had an Infinity G35 for a little bit.
I see.
And he had a couple of dailies, but he didn't have that Corolla. He just put it off for so long, which is why I was giving him so much trouble for it.
Well, good to know.
So that was our interview with Phil. So I hope you guys listen and enjoy.
Oh,
for real?
Kenosha, Wisconsin, and I was just coming back down every Sunday. But I actually moved down to Stevenson area my sophomore year.
Oh yeah, Buffalo Grove-ish, yeah.
And Earl was there too, so it was like old friends, coming together at the same time. So I guess we've been friends since as well.
Cool.
Unfortunately, but
Hebron. I remember going to those basketball tournaments, those church basketball tournaments.
Yeah.
I went to True Way,
and
then I did a stint at Kanan as well. Yeah, but it's just funny how I think it's really fascinating how if you're Korean from a specific time, or maybe even if it's still true today, but if you're from the Chicago and the first and second ring suburbs, church is what's going to be kind of what binds our Koreanness together. You know what I'm saying? I think that's fascinating and also funny at the same time.
It's funny because even within that bind, there's definitely different sects of different groups. And I feel like there was if you went to this high school, majority of your friends will go to this church.
Oh yeah, and GBN, GBS, yeah.
And, they would go to Lakeview or whatever.
Yeah.
Stevenson people, a lot of them went to Hebron and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, whatever. There's few churches up in this area too.
Yeah, for sure.
So I always found it pretty funny, and whenever there's for basketball and whatnot, there's other people, other churches that come through. For Hebron Gym, there was always that weird tension too. At the same time, some people there were fights that broke out and whatnot. It was so funny. It was so much drama.
I mean, it's teenagers and the idea of forced fellowship, under the circumstance of basketball. So there was a lot of heated, pent-up adolescent energy, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So where are you at now?
In terms of church?
Yeah, where are you? Where are you staying at now? Are you in the suburbs still?
Yeah, I'm actually in Deerfield.
Oh, okay, nice.
But so I'm still in that whole Stevenson area.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've actually had a lot of changes, in the past 2 years. So in past 2 years there was times that I was living in Atlanta. Then there was times that I was out in Southeast Asia for a while. And I came back because of COVID. And I've been just kind of staying put since COVID started. So
yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like you're pretty lucky to at least be in a space where
for sure
you could be safer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man,
it's crazy out there with that.
Because I definitely could have been stuck out in I was in Southeast Asia, and I came home to Chicago couple weeks before they started like like
the lockdown.
Like the travel was getting harder.
Man.
Then I left again a month later for like Europe. And that was right before the whole Italy and all of that started spiking. So week later, US started shutting borders to like Europe and whatnot. I'm like, okay, I'm so glad that I'm not in that mess.
Yeah, for real. Wow. Blessings. Lucky. I mean, that's great. Yeah. I hate to be stuck in Southeast Asia. I mean, although it seems like they're doing better than us.
It's not so bad, actually. Looking back, I would not have I would not have minded it if I was stuck out there and no way to get home.
Yeah, I suppose.
Super cheap, super chill.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Just no air conditioning.
Yeah. I mean,
or refrigeration.
Refrigeration, you just put it in a river, you know what I mean? That's fine. Throw it in a bag, put it in a river. But AC, man.
Make sure you tie it tight so it doesn't flow down.
Yeah, no doubt. Put like a rock in there or something. I went to Vietnam in like October a couple years ago, and I was like, why is it so hot? But everybody else is wearing like jackets, like they're freezing. And I'm like, I am going to be an American and complain about the heat. Yeah.
Where'd you go for Vietnam?
I went to Vietnam. So my girlfriend's family is from Hue, Central Vietnam, and so we went to visit her, like her family's like house. You know how like back in Korea, like we have like our families, you know, like the patriarchs like homes and stuff like that. So it was just like one of those deals. But never been there before, and man, it was cool. Definitely. I felt like kind of an asshole, like in retrospect, not like outwardly, but just because the things I was complaining about, it was definitely something when I came back, I was humbled by, realizing, man, like things that I, was like stomping my feet and like pouting about is like really, just an everyday reality for those that are in different situations. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, one of my Wi-Fi and my air conditioning. So,
I mean, I was in Vietnam too, and I personally thought Vietnam was great. Like it was definitely my favorite place out of all the other areas that I was nearby.
Southeast,
yeah. But my biggest memory of it is like I think I was in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, and they had it was like this Starbucks, and there's this like a what is it, Bentley Bentayga parked outside. And along the street lamps, they have like this like communist flag along the whole street, and the whole juxtaposition of the situation, I was like, this is great. Like I love the fact that this is like
coexisting.
Exactly. Coexisting, and it's like different concepts of society.
Yeah, facts. I mean, I think we're fortunate to be Westerners, if you will. You know what I mean, by like culture. You know what I mean, in terms of upbringing, but then go over there and be able to see like what transition from communism to like whatever sort of democracy, capitalism looks like. But while there are facets that are holding on to that past. But then again, I guess if you think about it here recently,
there's plenty of people holding on to a bunch of stuff.
Rise again, I mean, and I mean, I live
just in like communist countries though.
It's
right.
Korea, it's very different now.
Yes.
Do you remember the Korea that your parents like explained or like described to you? Because like I remember vividly what my parents described to me, and then I went to Korea as an adult, and I was like just shocked because like that Korea just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Well, for you, your parents left Korea in the earlier
60s.
on,
or
right?
My dad left in the 60s, and my mom left in the 80s.
So, like, Korea of the 80s or 60s is a whole different world.
It was still a fascist. It was still a fascist country.
Yeah, but like 80s, even the 80s look of Korea doesn't exist. It didn't exist in the 90s. Korea changed form every decade, I feel like.
I remember going as a kid, and then there's still like people being shocked that I was like speaking English on the subway with with my brother. People were just like stopping and just like staring at us, and then like they thought we were like stupid because we didn't know how to speak Korean well. They're just like, what is wrong with these guys? Are they slow?
Interesting.
But those looks haven't stopped even the time that you were there.
Yeah, I'm sure. I remember going as a kid.
That's true. We did get into that fight that one time.
Yeah.
What, you got into a street fight?
No, so like we were there for the World Cup. Me and Hoeun, we were there in Korea for the World Cup, and there was this drunk dude. Korea lost the game. He must have been pissed off or whatever. And I was speaking English, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I sick, yeah, like, 한국에 왔어, like, how much saw?" And then I just like, so what that means to the listener is like, hey asshole, like you're in Korea, use some Korean. So basically the same kind of shit that Americans say.
Yeah,
in Korea.
speak American.
Yeah. But in Korea, and then my friend was like, he speaks Korean way better than I do. He was like fluent, and then he was like saying like, listen, like I can speak Korean, but I'm choosing to speak English because it's more comfortable because we're Americans.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that in Korean. So the guy got pissed or whatever, and then he just like, shut up. Then we get off the subway. He happens to get off on the same subway stop as us, and then he he just like stomps on my foot and like shoves me over. So our friend, like he's like some like big, like he's like 5'10", probably like 185 pounds or whatever,
like bodybuilding.
So he goes up to the old man, like he just like grabs him and like brings him to the ground, and the guy's glasses fall off. And I was like ready to like hit the guy because I was like so pissed. But we were there with like two girls, and two girls were like, "Oh, don't do anything. It's not worth it." And they're like some lady just called the cops and was like, "You know what? Fine, forget it." So like, but his guy's glasses fell off, and I was like still pissed off, and I just kind of petty about it. So I tossed his like glasses onto the tracks, and then we walked away.
I heard about that K rage. It's in all of us.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
sure, dude.
I would have stomped on him, I'm sure. Yeah.
I know. If it wasn't for those girls, I would have like probably like, hit him. But I was just like, you know what? These girls are here. Like, this guy's is an old man. He's drunk. Whatever. It's not worth it. And like, but he deserves to be punished. So I'm gonna toss his glasses. But Koreans have like public health insurance, so it's probably only like a $25 copay.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
it's
like,
just more of an inconvenience. Whatever. I hope that that person has a podcast that's happening right now talking about that.
So some Korean American punk coming over tossing my glasses
씨발
to
새끼가
trash.
그날 막 영어로 이렇게 막 개발, you know, like just finally venting 15 years later during COVID with his boys in Korea.
Oh wow!
It was the World Cup. Korea lost. Like, what the fuck?
I want to believe that we live
kids?
in that kind of magical universe where that is it's happening exactly at the same time. Right now.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would 10 out of 10 listen to that podcast. I would make sure like Hoeun, can you translate this for me? Just get every little detail.
Dude, I would have him on our show.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Let's have the internet try to bring this together.
Yeah. Just with basic clues. We got off on like Negum stop in 2010 after the World Cup.
Yeah, person looking for the person who got their glasses thrown on the tracks. You put on the newspaper classifieds. 아저씨 보고 싶어요.
예. 빨리 와요.
Oh my god.
Anyways, that's neither here nor there. So maybe we should actually start.
Okay, so I don't know where we cut off. And I think I just started rambling. So
Phill definitely told us the whole story, but you left and the recording button.
Yeah, and I don't know if it got recorded. I think.
Yeah, and then I noticed that the upper left corner, the recording that I see right now, was gone. So I just kind of slowed it up.
So today we have Phill Lee from ClubFR. He's the owner of what year's your Corolla, bro?
This one is 1985.
What year's your Corolla?
1985. The current one that I got from Rob is
owner of a 1985 Toyota Corolla. What was the previous one? The green one?
The green one was an 87. That was a Kuki. And then the one before that was an 86, another Kuki. And then the one before that was an 85.
What? How many Hachis have you had?
This is my fourth one.
Why did you wait so long between the third and the fourth?
Life happened, right? You know, I think like figuring out who I was, right? Or who I was trying to be, aspirations, right? Like while you had, you know, your passion in cars, you know, you're trying to figure out how to contextualize like your life. Is it going to, you know, be defined with that in conjunction, or is that something that's going to be like separate from a different professional path, you know? So for me at the time, I was pursuing photography pretty hard. And when I sold my last one, that was an investment into my photography gear, my lighting, my strobes, like lenses, some, you know, stuff like that to really jump into the digital world. Because before that, it was film based. And it was like so it took a while. And then luckily for me, like I was able to really like do really fun projects and develop my career professionally in photography. So the more and more I was doing better, the further and further I kind of was kept away from like being able to obtain a car. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's just one of those. So life, you know.
Right. Okay. So what year was the third one? The one Maggie crashed?
Oh my god.
Which one was that one?
Yes. That was the third one.
So what year was that?
Man, I'm gonna say like 05, 06, 05, 06. Did you meet me with it?
Okay.
With the 11, or did you meet me without the 11?
No, I never saw you with a car.
Okay, so then it's probably 05.
You didn't have a license when I met you.
Yeah, I was driving without a license even before you met me. Like, I had a lot of issues with police and the court system, so I had a suspended license, and I was like, well, as long as I drive like I stole it, and like, you know, then I shouldn't get pulled over. But I got pulled over all the time, so it further deferred. Yeah,
I like that logic.
Yeah, I mean, you know, driving like I stole it, meaning like, I know when people think driving like you stole it, you mean just whip that shit around, whatever. But I was like,
just
10 and 2, you know what I mean? Like, to not get caught up. But yeah, it's like
seatbelt on.
Yep. Turn the radio down, you know, recline it back up a little bit, you know, turn the half forward maybe.
I know how that goes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, as Mr. Dave Chappelle said, nobody wants to get beat up to a soundtrack. You know, you turn that radio down.
Yep. That's very true. That's very true. I'd rather hear, like the bludgeoning in the silence. You know what I mean? It's way more cinematic that way, I think. You know?
Yeah, that's true. But to be fair, since we're Asian, I've gotten pulled over plenty of times, and there's been plenty of times I should have gotten my ass beat, but because I'm Asian, they just wouldn't do it because they just know they can't get away with it.
Yeah, well, they're probably just afraid of the kung flu, you know. Or the karate or whatever. I don't know. I think it's different. You know, I think like cops in different places are also, you know, I mean, if we're going to tangent for a second, like when I moved here, cops are way shittier to me than when I was in the suburbs or when I was in the city in Chicago.
True.
Here, there's just like, it's honestly, it's like as much as it's liberal, it's still like hillbilly mentality. So like I've had knees on my necks, you know what I mean, over not stopping, you know what I mean, quick enough, you know, like, so it's an unfortunate circumstance of not being white in America.
Yeah. Where are you now?
I'm in Madison, Wisconsin now.
I see.
Yeah.
It's like the Republican version. It's not even the Republican. It's just like Michigan, but just on the other side of the lake.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's predominantly red with like blue pockets.
Just two. It's just Milwaukee and Madison. That's it. The rest of the state is, you know, like banjos and what's that movie? You know. Deliverance is how I like to describe the rest of Wisconsin. If you've ever seen that movie,
I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna put this out there for the listeners. Like, you know, there's no judgment on my part. We're just saying, politically speaking, that the map is largely red with pockets of blue. Okay.
It's very true. You know, it's not to say that there can't be individuals in those, like, you know, pockets of red that are liberal.
It doesn't even mean that they're bad people, right? They just politically align that way.
I think some of them are bad. Yeah.
All I know is that
for sure.
All I know is that last time I was in Madison, I was tear gassed from the rooftops.
Yeah, that's how they welcome you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it. That's it.
Yeah. Was it Halloween?
Last time I was there.
Was it Halloween? Yeah. So then it also makes it more sense. Yeah.
We were all on State Street, and they started blocking the street off. And there's a guy up on the rooftop just spraying pepper spray all over the place like it's a fucking fire hose.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, if it's Halloween and it's Madison and it's State Street, not to blame the victim, but also at the same time, you were asking for it.
Oh, for sure. I actually want to thank the police department of Madison for making it so memorable. Because it's been like 10 years and I still think about it.
Yep.
It's like that legendary Halloween in Madison, you know?
Yeah,
Thank you. Shout out to
the red mist
PD.
coming down, burning. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know those
for sure.
All right, so you were asking about the beginnings, and basically, I think I might have it better refined since I rambled while you were gone. But how it began was, I met up with Josh and John Ams in like the suburbs, right? And we, you know, he had an Integratite bar, John Ams, I knew just through another mutual friend at work when I used to work at the Bose store over in Deer Park Mall, I think. And you know,
I remember that.
So okay, so then I was still there at the time when we met them. Okay. So we just kind of met up, and then that's when I was kind of introduced to like the car scene in the suburbs, because in the city it was just like me and Puerto Ricans, right? Because I was into Corollas and that was just how it was. But then I ended up moving to the suburbs, and you know, it was me going to the city periodically, or going to the incinerator, or these races on Ogden and 103rd or whatever. But then once I ended up getting a job at the Bose store in the suburbs, I ended up meeting up with John Ams through an acquaintance, and then I ended up meeting Josh Magirang just around the way, just because it was like the only Type R Integra out there, and I'm like, I gotta go talk to this fool because I love this car, and I still do. And then through that, we kind of organically just became friends through this mutual interest and love of cars, you know? It wasn't even like drifting centric at that point. It was just very much just cool. Like, I fuck with you, we get along, we can crack jokes, you know, and you like cars, so perfect, you know? We're early 20s. I think Josh at the time just got out of high school. John Ams, I think, just came back from Iowa State.
What year was this?
I think this was 01. Yeah. 02, 01. Yeah. And he was working in a car. John Ams was working in like a car rental place. And basically, yeah, we ended up just kicking it, and then found ourselves in like, you know, parking lots per usual. And and that was just kind of really like the original venue, whether it be the Yaohan, now known as Mitsuwa, those parking lots, or whether it be, you know, like McDonald's or Starbucks or bubble tea, right? It doesn't even matter, right? But eventually it kind of got to this point while doing that, we found we got caught in the net of the larger gatherings, which would be like the Hooters parking lot at Woodfield, streets of Woodfield, right? The Starbucks area. Yep. And then it would be Barrington and Irving, where there was like the McDonald's over there at the time, and then there was like a Jewel Osco in the back. I think it's like redeveloped now, so it looks slightly different. But kind of like hitting those larger spots in the suburbs like gave me access to like meeting like people from like A-Spec Tuning back in the day. I don't even know if they're still around anymore, you know. And then you find like guys like Nico, the Greek dude, you know what I mean, with the S2000. And then you'll meet like, you know, guys from like Fox Valley who are probably like Florida country-ish, but then they're really into imports, so now they have to learn how to like talk to Asian people, right? So I think it was like, I mean, but I say this not in like a way to like be defamatory, but in a way where I think it's fascinating that people that would not have interacted with each other kind of found a way to have to communicate with each other through this like common ground, right?
Well, the thing with Chicago though is like, I think largely because like with start with drag racing like in the early 2000s, and like because there's only so many spots, and then everyone just ended up meeting up. Like everyone just kind of like fucked with each other, so like it didn't matter like what kind of car you had or like where you're from. Like everyone was just like, oh, you have a cool car. Like if you're a cool dude, like yeah, like I'll fuck with you.
Keep it down there. Sorry, go to your room. Eat your vegetables.
Parker, what are you doing? I need orange. Oh, you need orange juice? I'll be right back. I'm gonna get him some orange juice. So we'll take a quick break.
But yeah, sort of going back to Madison, it's funny because that day that we got pepper sprayed, that's the day that I got my license suspended too. So
in this state?
No, it was in Illinois.
Oh,
I had too many run-ins with the cops that just went unnoticed by the courts. So by the time, unnoticed. So like I got tickets in one month, and they were like, okay, you gotta be summoned. And they're like, looking at your record, we should give you 3 months, but we're just gonna give you a year because you fell through the cracks and you should have been suspended a long time ago.
Man. I know.
Yeah,
that's how they do.
Your license suspended?
Oh yeah, you know. Have you had your?
Yeah, I was no man. I lived like a straight arrow. I've never had my license suspended. I've had a couple tickets, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like maybe 3.
Yeah, you look like the type.
Well, I got it, man. I know, because like, well, now if I get my license suspended, like I'll be out of a job. So
well, yeah, I mean, I guess,
record.
yeah, it's like a delivery driver, you know,
Yeah.
like I get that.
Just go on the proving grounds. You know, you don't need a license for that.
Just sign a
I guess,
waiver.
but how do I get there?
I mean,
We don't have autonomous vehicles yet.
yeah, Uber. Uber to secret Ford ground, please.
For real.
Yeah, but I gotta take the vehicles from one place to the other.
I mean,
because like you gotta understand, like Ford, it's not like the proving grounds. It's not like Chrysler where like it's all self-contained.
Yeah.
Ford owns like half of Dearborn, so like sometimes I have to drive between buildings, like halfway across town.
You'll just have to explain it to your manager. You know?
She's like, dressed like RoboCop. I don't know how it works out there. Just get the helmet
I might
on.
get a pass then. I might get a pass then.
To protect and serve.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Sorry. I don't even know how close Dearborn is.
And we're back. No,
the booze is still out for delivery. City. I think the driver just cracked it open.
It should be there.
It says it's still out for delivery.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all right. Anyways, and we're back.
Are you editing all this?
Yeah, I'll be editing.
Oh, good luck.
I know.
Okay, so from where we left off since you're editing.
Yeah, and we're back. So Phil.
Welcome to Spirit of Build.
So eventually,
welcome back.
Eventually, it got to the point where we were jumping around parking lot to parking lot, essentially, you know, like Friday nights, Saturday nights, and cops, you know, always there, just, you know, tired of just getting harassed by the pigs, but at the same time, understanding, like, you know, that's what they got to do because they're in the suburbs and there's no real crime. So, instead of playing that whole cat and mouse game, it was a discussion amongst like the close core of like, all right, well, we love cars. This is some calamity or shit that it's annoying, you know? So what do we do? Like, how do we still continue this, but without being harassed, right? And so, you know, this idea of like autocrossing and sanctioned events, right? Those things kind of like the ideas were thrown out in like passing discussion. And eventually got to the point where we started to get real serious about it because those conversations occurred in more frequency. So one particular night, it was either Friday or Saturday, I'm pretty sure, we went to the streets of Whitfield where there's a Starbucks and they used to have this small room for like meetings and with like a little red curtain. And we ended up renting that out. And it was like me, Josh, John Ams, and like maybe like 10 other people, I think. And we were sitting in there and we're just trying to really figure out, all right, like, what does this mean to do something legitimate? Like, how would it look for us to be able to do what we want to do? And it was like we just threw up all of our ideas and it was a hot mess, right? Because some people, you know, are the faction of like car shows, you know what I mean? Some people, you know, wanted to, you know, be like in magazines. Some people, you know what I mean? They all love cars. We all love cars, but it was just, everyone wanted different things with it. And eventually just kind of like reduced down to essentially like driving was like the thing that really stuck with me and with Josh and with John Ams and a lot of the people that we still have around in our community today. But that meeting really just ended up with the focus on the marketing aspect of it. We wanted a name, right? We wanted an identity. And so Rowdy Racing was birthed, R3. And nothing really came of that, but it's definitely, you know, if you end up talking to Josh or John Ams, like they will tell you the same thing. And it was just this name that we kind of like carried through, right? And it became almost like a call and response type of thing where when we were out, we would just, you know, R3, oh yeah, you know, even though what the hell was that? We weren't doing anything with it. So at the best, it was just referencing that time that we talked about it and came up with it, right? But again, now looking back on it today, you know, it was to me, that was like a signifier of like, you know, even wanting to identify each other with that like idea was needing a sense of a focused community, right, with cars.
Right.
And so this is the part that is kind of fuzzy for me. I don't recall how I met Rob, to be honest, but I remember details once we met. So, but I do recall that meeting Rob, he was in a Miata and I wanted to pull him in, you know, to this R3, right? Because he seemed pretty serious and like pretty nerdy. And but he was also shy, you know? So I was trying to pull him in like, hey, like you should come meet Josh, you should come meet John Ams, like it'll be dope. We've been having these meetings, like let's figure this out. It seems like you are kind of right here with us. But he was really coy and shy. Like, that's cool. I'm okay. Maybe you can hit me up later. That's my Rob impression. Because all the protein shakes that he has, like it messes up the vocal cords. Yeah, earthworm Jim. Like his shoulder is big, but his head was like my finger. You know what I mean? Just sitting here. Mad reps, bro. Anyhow, so what had happened. So how it kind of started in that way was I would hanging out with John and Josh and them, or sometimes we wouldn't hang out. But anytime I would out with them, I'd hit up Rob. He was like my side piece, I guess. And I would see what was up with him, and he'd be down to hang out. And I think he felt more comfortable just like one-on-one, which I appreciate, right? He was because I come to find out that he was more focused than that the group was, right? At the time, I see it that way, but now understanding why he wanted one-on-one was to really try to refine, like who I was and how we would possibly potentially build something. And so it started off with us just cruising around, hitting up different spots. We both had like an orange cone in our trunk, and we would just find an empty parking lot, put it down, do donuts or figure eights, and then put it back in our trunk and go to the next spot. And then, conversations were had in between, right? But eventually we got to the point where the detail of this maybe can get filled in by like Simba or Rob, but we ended up on some kind of forum. I can't recall. I was huge on the internet even then and even now, I guess. But we ended up having a group coming together at our friend Tim Holly, who was in the early stages of us beginning, and his dad owned like a glass shop outside, and it's like this Irish Southsider type of dude, super sweet guy. And I think he was just graduating high school, but the internet was kind of gave him access to us in our early 20s, and he was really welcoming in terms of opening the doors to his dad's shop. We ended up having a meeting there one night, and all of a sudden that's when I met Simba. That's when I met Stuntman Dave, aka Trapper Dave, who's out in Iowa. I met TF Dave, who didn't have Toge Factory at the time, and he was just stolen parts, parts out of the back of his 4Runner. That's kind of when all the people that Keith, I believe, all the people. No, maybe Keith wasn't there. That was in Minnesota, but all the people that we kind of still aren't with today, are still involved in drifting, like really was birthed there, at least in the Midwest, right? And the meeting was kind of weird. I don't even remember how it went. I think Rob and I had talking points, but we just went freestyle with it anyway. And we, we're trying to talk about like, hey, who's serious about this?
That picture that Rob sent me?
Which picture?
The meat.
The one where we're playing Garage Band in Simba's house?
No, the one with the Sil 80, the Miata.
Yeah. No. That was just, it was that crew. Oh yeah. Brian was there. Crab was there too.
Crab was there, right?
Yeah. But that was just like probably just us hanging out after that meeting. That wasn't that, because it was at night. But yeah. And then from that point, it was just, still unsure of what to do. But for me, I was on path to move here to Madison to go to school, and to also get away from trouble that I was getting in Chicago. So it was really twofold. Getting away from bad influences and cops, and then also thinking about maybe I should just get an education since I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And so what had happened was ClubFR essentially was birthed when Rob and I would meet halfway. So he would be in like Hanover Park, I'm in Madison, and we'd find like a diner somewhere near Kenosha-ish, like at a rest stop, and we would just sit down and talk for hours, like over like breakfast food and coffee. And then he introduced the idea like, hey, like I already have a name in mind, ClubFR, FR being the designation. I'm like, oh, in my mind, I was like, oh my God, that's probably
great branding.
People take us more seriously than Rowdy Racing, right? So I'm like, cool. But on the outside, I played it cool because, R3 was like our baby. So I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. But inside, I was like, oh God, that's a lot better than R3. So so then the name was birthed, and then from there we started talking about incorporating, and he filed all the paperwork, and then we got the partnerships and the signatures, and he would mail it back to the back. And then the first event essentially happened, I think, like St. Cloud, and that's when Keith comes into the mix later on. Sorry, I'm rambling. Edit.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Go on.
I heard that the package is here, so do you want to pause for a minute?
Yeah. Let's take a break.
Okay, cool. I'll go get it. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. Let me open this up.
Yeah. So if you open it up, they're like little individual samples that are labeled. So just if you have a glass.
Cool. Oh, do you guys have the same? Are we drinking the same stuff together, or how is this going?
Yep, we're gonna drink the same stuff because I sent you guys the same samples. So just open up. The first one you have is like hibiki. Harmony.
Oh,
So
nice.
you told me you like the Japanese harmony.
Yes.
That's the focus. Yeah. So we have hibiki, Japanese harmony. Another one.
Harmony or harmony?
Harmony. Yeah, harmony.
Harmony.
Same thing.
Harmony.
Same
Japanese
thing.
harmony.
Yep. Japanese harmony. The next one is Nikka Whiskey's Taketsuru Pure Malt.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, you have it. Okay.
I'm out of it. I'm out of it. Is what I was trying to say.
Gotcha.
That's one of my favorites, to be honest.
And then the other one is this. I don't know if you guys have tried it. I don't know if you guys like Irish whiskey, but it's Jameson cask mates. So it's Revolution Brewing in Chicago.
Yeah.
They age it in Revolution's like
Oh,
IPAs.
the barrels.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
IPAs.
Very cool. So is it like peatier?
So it's actually more like IPA. It's more hot. It's more.
Oh, it's hoppier. It actually
Like
translates.
citrus.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
How strong is it?
80 proof, I think.
Oh, it's only 80.
Yeah, it's 80 proof. I think they're all 80 proof.
I guess I got thrown off by the whole name of castmates.
Oh, it's just aged in there.
Yeah.
86 proof. So the Japanese ones are 86 proof, and the JMO is 80 proof. So which one do you guys want to start with?
I don't know.
Oh, let me. I gotta finish off the
The crown.
the Korean Ajashi whiskey. Hold on.
All right. Take your time.
Oh, these look so like fancy.
Yeah, which one are you gonna start with?
Okay, so we got caskmates. Ooh, they're nice and cold.
Oh yeah. Well, I got mine yesterday. It was like ice cold.
Yeah. Ooh, that's gonna be nice and
It's
chilling.
in a truck.
Yeah. Japanese harmony. Okay. And then taketsuru. Let's start off. I don't know. Okay, so when you guys go out, do you like to end with the bang or start with the bang?
I usually start, and then I end up falling asleep at some point in the night, and then getting a second wind.
Okay. So
that didn't answer the question.
Yeah, no. Thank you. All right.
I'm just saying, I'll start with the bang.
Let's start with the pure malt then.
All right.
I've been looking for this for a while. And man, these Japanese whiskey prices.
Yeah. It's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I can get some for you if you need it, because
yes,
it's available in Ohio, and it's like state controlled.
Interesting.
And Toledo's only 30 minutes away, so I usually go there for like some of their harder stuff to find in Michigan.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, if you can get me some pure malt, I will definitely take a couple bottles of that. I don't drink that much, but man, something like this. Oh. Okay. Well, thank you, Earl.
Smell it right now. No problem. Right now we're just nosing the whiskey. So if you want to follow along, Phil, right now you just pour it in, and then just like take a sniff. So I smell, I don't know, just malt and like the typical like malt Scotch, like low peat smell. I don't know how to describe it because like I'm not like an expert in like Scotch or like Japanese whiskeys, but whatever.
I mean, there's a sweetness to it. I don't like peatiness, but honestly, this pure malt I can definitely mess with because I like the way it burns.
Is the pure malt peaty?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Not like like mezcals or like Highlands or whatever.
There's just like that hint of smokiness, like
that
that undertone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like sweet. It's like
Yeah,
candy.
It's like this and Harmony and even Yamazaki. It's like they all have like peat in it.
Yes. Yes.
Because they've definitely modeled themselves after Scotch.
The Scotch. Yeah.
But they do it in a very subtle way. It's never in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I like Japanese whiskey.
Yeah.
It's very subtle.
Do Koreans make any whiskey? Or not yet?
No, not really. But I always had the idea that like, why don't people use like traditional soju and then use it like with the rice instead of like koguma with like a sweet potato?
Or tapioca or something.
Yeah. So make it with rice, so it's technically grain, and then you could age it and then technically call it whiskey.
Yeah.
By law.
And there are a lot of Japanese whiskeys that come out.
There's a few like Oishi is one of them. Yeah.
Like when you see a Japanese whiskey on the shelf and it's like 25 years and it's just sitting there, you know that's not like Yamazaki. You know, it's gotta be there's something else like that made it to be that. You know,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I feel, I haven't, like I was telling Earl when he was asking about what I drink, I used to drink a lot of Yamazaki and then but I haven't had a drink in a long time. And then I started looking back into it and I didn't realize like how the market values have just, like Yamazaki, what is it? There's the
18 and 25.
18, 25. Well, even before that was like an 11
12,
or 12.
Yeah.
The 12 was like 40-ish bucks at Binny's. Yeah. But now I'm like $80?
No, it's
like 120
now.
Yeah, 120.
So like what's going on? Are they not producing as much right now? Because I know that they're casking obviously in advance, but is the production falling because of sickness or what's going on?
It's exactly like trying to buy vintage cars.
Yeah. Okay. So you're controlling it. You're controlling the supply to high.
Well, they expand production every year, but the demand just outpaces the supply.
Oh, damn. Okay, so it's not like on the capitalist end; it's truly the consumer end.
The entire market has just gone up. Yeah. Like
wow,
everything has just shifted.
Wow.
And with whiskey, it just takes like 12 years, right?
Of course.
So like, it's a very slow process to begin with to adapt to like new demands. So there's always like gaps where there's like extreme demand, but there just isn't enough whiskey to go around.
So does that birth like the idea of blending then? You know what I mean? In more modern day, or is that more about? Is it more about accessibility?
So one, like the consumers want higher quality stuff, so they want like single barrel, like with like age statements. So because a while, just to meet up with demand, like distillers got rid of the age statements just to keep up with demand. But, like they started expanding, and now like the market, it's like maturing a little bit. So now they're bringing back age statements, but the demand is growing again. So like just everything's just gotten more expensive. Just like with like trying to find an FD or a Corolla.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess I guess it makes sense when I connect them, but it was the challenge of connecting them as similar was the thing, because I figured like Corollas and FDs, as if you will, they're no longer in production, right? So as the years go by and as popularity of it like resurfaces, right, then you have less to choose from, so you have the supply and demand. But then I thought with like whiskey, it's like your market is so vast, and especially in these days where everyone is there, like in the what do you call it, contractor market, everyone's self-employed, etc., right? Everyone's casting their own stuff. The internet, YouTube is like giving you information on how to do it. So I thought the demand and the market would so expand that it would be way more competitive, that the prices would not jump up. But
it's just a lag time that it takes to like make whiskey, because it takes at least 4 years to be called straight whiskey. So you're talking about a 4-year lag time on the supply side. So like that, every year the demand keeps going up, but the supply just can't keep up.
That's so
crazy. You'd have to try to plan 8 years in advance, right?
Yeah.
So that's really hard to project, and it's capital intensive.
Yeah, it's fascinating for me to think about this, that I enjoy for the sake of like social and for flavor and for the art of it, right? The craft of it, to think of it as a commodity, that people are like, forecasting that, in blah, 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 many years, and according to this formula, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I mean, I'm not criticizing that that it's a bad thing, but for me, it just kind of shits on the beauty of it. But at the same time, like, so appreciate the nerds that can see that what I was enjoying at $40 a bottle was going to be worth 120 10 years later, you know?
Yeah. It's hard to I guess figure out, because it's just like cars. It's like, yes, I could buy this and then hold on to it and flip it, but at the same time, I'm just like, I'd rather enjoy it for myself or let someone else that can enjoy it just have it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, I don't need to like go after this. Like, whiskey, on the other hand, it's a much less personal market. It's also a much more market filled with a lot more friction, because it's controlled by each state. So each state has different liquor laws. So the pricing is different from state to state. The allocation is different from state to state. Plus, because it's a bottle, it's easier to ship than, say, car parts. And the margins are equal. So it's just like if you're gonna flip anything, like whiskey is kind of impersonal. Like I only enjoy whiskey when I share it with someone in context, right?
Yeah.
Because like I can enjoy like the best whiskey in the world, but it's like, all right, like great, now what?
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, but I guess you could make the same argument with cars, right? Like, what's the point of building up something that you can have fun driving it if you're just doing it by yourself, right? I mean, yeah.
So what I realized is, like, with like listening to all these other podcasts and like talking to all these other car guys like recently, it's just like the reason why we all stick with cars isn't because of the car, like it's because of the people. Like, sure, we got into it because we enjoy cars, but like stay around for the people.
No doubt.
ClubFR, like you guys are still kicking around. Like I'm still texting you, like, right, like 10 years out of the blue. Like,
which is super dope. I didn't have a car for like 11 years and I was still, you know, like within it, right? And it had everything to do with the people and my relationships with them, you know?
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. During this pandemic, like, not to say that I was unappreciative prior, but it really helped me hyper focus like the things that I may or may not have taken for granted, you know? And you know, I'm also standing within like recognizing like the privileges that I have of like, I'm not, you know, struggling to find food, right? But at the same time, I've also, within that, I get to cultivate like subcultural, like, you know, communities where I can grow as an individual, meet other people that I wouldn't have met, you know, discover things about other people that I would have no idea of how to even be introduced to that because of this. Like I feel very fortunate that my life unintentionally has brought me to spaces of learning so much more than I had intended to, you know?
Right.
And then, of course, like, you know, get to burn rubber and act like a kid, you know, behind the wheel. That's also like a great incentive too, you know?
So let's get to that, because that's my next topic. I wanted to circle back to the Corolla. So we won't talk about the third Corolla, because I know that that's kind of a sore subject.
I don't mind it, but I'm also feeling bad about it because you introduced it as like, so was that the one that Maggie crashed?
Okay,
like,
so
like I feel
fine.
bad.
Do you want to clear it up? Because like you can clear up the story better than I can.
There's nothing to clear up. It was just, it happened. But if anything, I feel.
Well, explain what happened.
So she dropped me off at work. She took my car. She was heading to Simba's. Wasn't paying attention. Rear-ended somebody, you know, and essentially that. And I mean, I could flower it up with like, you know, I imported these 11 parts that weren't available. I had to import this hood. It came dented. Like the whole like process of constructing it was a pain in the ass. And it was a daunting task because there was only like 2 other 11s in the US that I knew of at the time. And I was really, you know, like hungry to be the next one, you know, and I wanted that 11 to exist. Right. I mean, that's how I wanted to like kind of make my statement in terms of like how much I love this car. So yes, that context obviously is important to frame the pain that was felt when it was crashed. But I think when people talk about this third one, it's always framed as like, oh, that person, she just ruined it, right? And
I you know me, like I know Maggie, you know, and I love you, Maggie.
Yeah, and I'm not putting that on you.
She probably does.
I'm not putting that on you.
Exactly.
I'm saying that more as like a whole, right? Like, because I know that you know too, but I'm saying this more as like for others that hear it through the grapevine, they only know it as far as that, you know?
I was just gonna say though, like I think, because how old were you when that happened?
24, 25.
Yeah, so like when you're in your early to mid 20s, it's a much different context, right? Because like the number of zeros in your bank account is just one, usually, maybe two if you're lucky, right?
For real.
So in context, like that accident it's a very costly error, right?
For sure.
But now, like you're like what? How old are you now? Like 40?
About to be.
You getting to 40?
Yeah. In May I'll be 40, 39.
Damn, dude. Yeah, see? And I'm like, well, I want to be 37.
You know, Asian don't raisin though. Black don't cry, and Asian don't raisin, bro. I'm just saying. It's that beauty, son.
just for those who might be listening, Phil is just putting his face in the camera, and we're just talking about how our skin
I guess it's an audio component
in our late 30s. Exactly, because it's a podcast.
Yeah,
so,
but you know, but the double-edged sword of that is that you know, I may look like I'm in my 30s for a minute, but then once I hit like a certain age, I'm gonna look like I'm 102 and be living in the mountains. So you know.
Yeah, our spines are gonna like slowly like just like compress.
Yes.
Like dinosaurs.
I think about that dude from Kill Bill living in the mountain, you know, that's like me in like 2 years. It looks like this now, all of a sudden I'm just rickety all of the fucking cane that I whittled, you know.
Yeah. Oh god, we're so off topic.
Sorry.
It's fine. And anyways, back to the Corolla. I was just meant like that in context, like it's a big deal then, but like now it's like whatever, right? Like yeah, at the time it was like maybe the third 11, but now it's just like fuck, like at least I had 11 at one point. Like it's like unaffordable now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the markup is crazy, you know, but also even like to take another step out of that, it's just like I can't remember like in my life, in my childhood, where I didn't hold a car in my hand and think like this is me, right? Like I didn't like, you know, going to dinner tables, you know, parties and restaurants, like just pretending like I'm being chased or I'm jumping stuff, right? Like cars and me like are just so, it's always been the case, right? The type of movies that I love, fucking Back to the Future, obviously that's iconic in many fronts, but really for me, the entry point was a car.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you think about, what is that? The Wraith with Charlie Sheen, you know, where he's like this like desert ghost dude in this blacked out Trans Am or whatever the hell it was, Knight Rider, right? Like all these things in my childhood and in my memory, and even in my current adulthood, everything's still, I'm drawn to cars in any capacity, right? So like, I think like it was more of a heartbreak in the sense of like, this was something that I poured my heart into. We can talk about monetary values and zeros and the age and all that context, but ultimately I think at any age, the heartbreak, the pain in the heart would feel the same, right? Of like that type of energy and sacrifice that goes into this thing that you want to see come to life, right? And maybe that might not make it seem better for her, but I want to reframe the mentality of it, right? It's not about like a ROI, you know?
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm just thinking like, now I am older, I have more resources available to me, and I know exactly how I want the car to look now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in my mid-20s, I didn't necessarily know exactly how I wanted the car to look. I just had a general idea of like the style I wanted to go for.
Yeah, for sure.
But even then, like I didn't have the resources, so like you had to pour in like that sweat equity as well as like the money on top of it, right?
Of course.
But now that I'm older, like I have more resources, I have more patience, so I can do it. And I'm like, if I lost the car to me at this point, like it wouldn't feel as bad because like I would be smart enough to like, at least it's insured, I'll just like get another one and build another one. Like, sure, I lost this specific chassis, but it's just a car at the end of the day and I can just rebuild it.
Yeah. But also I think
expensive as they are now.
Yeah, for sure. I think for you to even have that perspective is also like a commentary on like how, you know, it was, your car fulfilled a different purpose back then, right? Like the Corolla for me today that I have is way different than what it represented for me 10, 15 years ago, right? 10, 15 years ago, it was an extension of my body. It was an extension of my soul, my creativity, my dreams, you know? Now I get to look at it as I hate to say it, but I still get to look at it more so as dollars and cents, practicality, you know, what this means, historical context, right? Like I'm more conscious of what these pieces of metals and bolts mean. But then I could care less, right, about what it's going to be projected at value, right? It just mattered to me that I got to be proud sitting in this cockpit behind this car and behind this wheel where maybe a couple bolts weren't torqued the way that I should have, right? And yet I'm still flying down 90, 94 at a speed that is probably suspect, right? Like it's that passion, that heart and emotion. I think that's honestly where I'm trying to make sure that who I am today could also remember who that was before and then bring that together, you know? Yeah. But I feel you.
That's what No, that's what I realized in the last decade though, is like just being away from cars and like, but like just working on them, like dedicating my professional life to them. It made me like, in one way, like learn to hate cars in a way, but at the same time, learn to really miss and appreciate like what we had like as kids, you know, like in Chicago.
Yeah.
Just like running around and just like hanging out with your friends and just doing stupid shit and like not worrying about what the car's gonna be worth or like how much it costs. Like you were passionate about it and you just chased it. It didn't, because like Instagram and Facebook didn't matter, like, or it didn't exist. So like likes didn't matter. It was just about like finding like-minded people.
Yep.
No, dude. E-props matter back then.
Was that? E-props?
E-props. E-props, yeah.
For real. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, you know, let me ask you this. Now that you have a son or a kid, is he interested in cars? Are you seeing like parts of you in terms of your love for that going into like his, like the things that he's like drawn to?
He's like a mini me where I didn't teach him. I didn't put him around cars. I didn't ask him to be around cars. I didn't force it. I think other people kind of did based on like knowing me. Because like I didn't really buy him car toys, but his grandparents did, like Amber's parents. But he just gravitates towards them, and like every day he's just playing with them, lining them up, doing the exact same things that I see old photos of me doing. Yeah. So like I don't personally remember what I did as a kid with the cars, but I see the photos of them. I'm like, man, this is the exact same stuff that I did. So I guess it's like genetic or something, because like I didn't force it on him.
Can you? I mean, yeah. How can you deny that, right? Like, I mean,
I don't even encourage him.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, I think I think maybe a part of it could be genetics, or it could be also like, you know, the type of environment that you are raising him in. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously,
I mean, he's always
you're
around
not saying cars, but he can go open the garage and see, you know, a not running FD and be like, oh, what is this piece of metal that's never running and sitting there all the time, but it has 4 wheels, right? And now that's imprinted into his brain.
I mean, he's just around it, and like with my friends. Yeah, I mean, because with my friends, they're around it, you know. So like, I think they encourage it, and I encourage it. So which is, I mean, I don't discourage it, but I don't actively encourage it. It's just like, if you want to get into cars, that's fine. Yeah. And then when you're old enough to like consciously say like, Dad, can you teach me more? Whether it's about racing or like how cars come together, like, great. And then like he's on his way, and he'll have like a much better start than I did, because I had to kind of figure it out on my own.
Yeah, same here. Where do you think you got your passion for cars from?
I don't know, because my parents said like from the age of 2, I was able to name like the cars going down the road by looking at the badges. So I was able to name like the marks of each car by the time I was like 2.
Police car, school bus, CTA. Or was it more specific?
They were like Chevrolet, like Volkswagen. Like
okay.
By the time I was like 2, apparently. So.
I think a lot of people who are like the car enthusiast, right, among us, would share very similar, you know, like experiences. You know, being able to name cars on the road, you know, playing with, you know, like Hot Wheels and whatever. You know, like whenever I had a blanket that had like, you know, like just like check marks, like design,
the racing flag.
They're all roads to me, you know, like you know, I'm running down that Hot Wheel down the road. And I feel like it's a very common experience, but that's happening isolated incidents around the world, you know, essentially.
Yeah. That's
true.
I mean, I feel like
so
I didn't grow up in an environment where cars from my parents was just like, don't break it, it's expensive, and it gets you to work and back, right? It was utility. And I don't know where I got the message necessarily of like, fuck all that. It's shiny, it's loud, it's fast, right? And I love that. Like, I don't know how that happened, right? But then like I meet someone, let's say like Rob, he grew up where his dad was already like autocrossing. His uncle, you know what I mean, is into cars, got an NSX, right? Like they're like a family that really like spends their time and energy on the weekends centralized around participating in auto sports, motorsports, you know? Mm-hmm. And so for him to be who he is today, like totally makes sense. But I'm super fascinated by like people like me, myself, or for you, or even you know what I mean? Where it's like, where did this happen? You know?
Yeah.
So I think it has to be, I think, well, everyone naturally just likes cars because it's like a machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so everyone likes cars. They don't always necessarily like the same cars because like some people might like EVs for the environmental reasons and like that's what speaks to them. And then some people, it might be like a Ferrari, right? Just for like image purposes. And some people, it might be like a Lotus just because like purity, right? For engineering, like racing nerd shit. But I have a feeling like everyone just happens to innately like cars. But some people take it a little bit deeper like we do.
Yes.
And then like, you know, like myself, I took it even deeper still and like made a career out of it, right?
Yeah.
So,
hold on, how about you?
Like people,
so what's your relationship with cars?
So
because I don't know you very well, so
that's all right, and this is how we get to know each other. Yeah.
Yes.
And for me, my parents weren't very like car enthused people either, but at the same time, my dad was very liberal in letting me try the car out in like empty parking lots when I was younger. So like by the time I was 11, I knew how the basic operations of a car, and I had like enough sensibility to be able to like go around in like specific direction within that parking lot, right?
Cool.
So I guess that wasn't the beginning of it, but rather that was more like a confirmation that I love cars. Because at like it, you know, we talked about Hot Wheels on blankets, but like, you know, like my memory of cars go back to the time that I can't remember anymore. So like, you know, within my memory, I always liked cars, you know. But I've given this thought like where it really comes from, and it might just be wheels. You know, for me, like I'm a super lazy person, so like the whole concept of wheels, because I also love like bicycles. I love like, you know, like motorcycles, like rollerblades, whatever. Like the fact that it allows me to get somewhere in a more efficient manner than me walking or running. But like that is like the core of it. But at the end of the day, like car is special. You know, it's not like I like other wheeled things over cars. So like there's from like the sound of the car, which we won't have very soon. You know, it'll all be, you know, it already is artificial in many cars.
I just put in my order for a Mach-E.
Yeah. Are you convinced by it yourself as an employee?
To be honest, I haven't driven one.
Oh, you just put it down?
Just stop the recording and tell us, and then we can resume the recording.
No, I swear to God, I haven't driven one. But I'm gonna go to Groton in May to do a test drive at the track. So
nice.
To do final testing. Yeah.
I'm gonna be the old fuddy-duddy and say, no matter how well the advancements are of simulating sounds are, it just can't be the same.
No, it's not. It's not. But at the same time,
it's not so bad
either.
The
reason why I'm getting it is because I don't have to stress about commuting anymore. It'll drive myself. Like it'll drive for me.
But see,
so like I have to drive like 40 miles one way.
Yeah.
So, or like 45 miles. So like I don't want to think about it.
I think it's tough for me to.
Like, there's nothing fun to do.
It's tough for me to identify with that. Because I'm not in that position where I have to commute that far, but like, I don't know. I almost feel like I'd rather hire a driver if I don't want to drive. Is my feel on it, right? Like this is not about my economic access or ability. It's just more about the essence of my relationship to what it is to be in a car. You know,
if I could afford it, I would.
Right. And so, but this, I don't know. It's
but at the same time,
but I mean,
though,
I still
have
the Subaru. I still have the 2 Subarus, and I still have the FC. So it's not like I'm getting rid of it. It's like this is the commuter.
If anything, it makes up for the fact that how much you're not driving those is going to be made up for the fact that you're driving around.
I think for me, like, I could never give up like the cars that we have now, right? But I could have like electric car or like autonomous car like alongside it, that it coexist because of the sheer convenience of it too.
Yes.
Not every trip out of the garage has to be like just that thumping like exhaust sound. And there are places for that. And for me, like I just hope that our relationship with the internal combustion engine cars, I guess, could be prolonged as much as possible. It doesn't have to be the mainstream, but just do let us have it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I agree. Like I fantasize about, when I see Teslas, I don't fantasize about it as like, oh, it's like a faster car because it's motor driven and torque and all that. I think of it as like, man, like that'd be cool to like not have to like put mileage on the car that I love. You know what I mean? To do these utility things and then truly have it like be like, all right, when it's no longer about utility, I could really just fully wild out, get that, race gas or whatever, right? Just have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
I get that.
I actually heard not too long ago that Porsche is developing synthetic fuel just in case like the petrol industry itself goes to like, because I'm sure there's like a breaking point of the entire industry where if they don't produce an X amount, the whole the infrastructure can't support this stuff anymore.
Yes.
So Porsche's developing synthetic fuel so that they could provide it to their customers to ensure that their cars will be on the road. And I was like, I'm convinced. Like I want one like going forth. Like
sounds dope.
That's why you pay for. That's what why Porsches are so expensive, is because they still make every single fucking part ever.
Yeah.
So every single part that Porsche's ever made is still available for purchase. That's why they have like such a high like number, like 911 still on the road.
I think that's so dope. I mean, I think that's a beautiful like ideology. Whether it's greed that comes in the mix that kind of like ends up like like shiving some people in the end, but ultimately I like the ideology of like this is our name is on here, and as long as our name is on here, I want to make sure that if anyone that owns it can always still enjoy it as much as possible.
I agree.
I'm sold.
But at the same time, like I was gonna say I agree, but at the same time with shoot, what was I gonna say with Porsche is like, because they do such low volumes, that's why they've like went under. That's why they almost went under a couple times, and Volkswagen ended up buying them out, right? So like, we can all say like we want to do this out of the goodness of our heart, and like we don't really care for profit, but at the same time, if you don't adjust that business model, like you're gonna go under, and you eventually can't support that industry.
Right.
Sure.
So
it's
like,
a business to be willing to understand like, the price sucks, but if you want the service to exist, like there's a certain price you have to be willing to pay.
And again,
anyways, should we move on to the next whiskey?
Yeah,
me too. If I had the money, I'd pay it. What do you guys want to drink now?
It's up to you. You call it next. No, Hoeun, you go.
You call it.
Oh, and I guess do we want to compare the two Japanese whiskeys?
Yeah.
Or do we want to like have like more like impactful like differences?
Let's do the Japanese. Let's end with the castmates.
Okay.
With Irish.
Okay. So hibiki.
Yep.
Harmony.
Harmony.
Dude, I can't believe Simba started drinking. What the fuck? I've been gone for so long.
Yeah. Well, people grow up.
That's true. Thank God. I'm gonna try to get Cheers.
Trying to get who to drink? Come back.
Mikey, Burst Speed. Mikey.
Oh yeah. Oh, he doesn't drink. I forget.
Yeah.
Caramelly. I don't think. Oh, who? Mikey, I don't think he
Ilya.
does. Oh, Ilya,
No,
I
no,
don't think he
Ilya.
does. I think like celebratory, like I'll have a sip or whatever, but I think he's pretty like clean with that.
All right, cool. Oh, well,
I
just for
respect
the
that
show.
though. I respect that.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't judge people who don't drink.
Yeah, me either. I judge people that drink a lot though.
This smells like sweeter, like more darker, like brown sugar, and like
It's like
less
caramelly. Yeah.
I
like
smell a
less
lot of like acetone, like nail polish remover.
Are you sure you're not smelling the Jameson? I might have mislabeled it. Smell the other one.
I mean,
It smells sweeter. Let me smell the Jameson. I mean, Jameson, I would imagine it would just be, it would burn more.
I can't really tell.
Yeah, you can't really get through
The
it.
Jameson just tastes like IPA, and I'm not a big fan of IPAs, so it's like a little hard for me to drink.
I'm not sure if this is mislabeled or not now, because when you say it should smell like IPA.
Oh no, I do smell that. I do smell the acetone. I see what you're talking about.
Okay.
It's just like that very like.
Hibiki tastes.
It's like
It's peaty as well.
No, it tastes
I think it's
fine.
peatier.
Yeah, it tastes fine.
I think this is peatier than the pure malt. It smells sweeter, but
I would agree. It's smokier. Yeah.
Right?
I'm gonna try it with a little bit of water. Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't taste the peat.
I imagine the Jameson would burn more.
I'm actually gonna
hotter and sweeter.
I'm actually gonna go grab another glass so that I could both to see.
Yeah. Dude, this hibiki is fire, man. I got this as a birthday gift a couple years ago. I was like, yo. I didn't realize that I could actually drink something a little bit peatier. Because when I first smelled it, I was like, thank you, and like I know how much this costs and everything, but I didn't open it for like a year, and then I did. I was like, holy shit, this is, I don't know, man. This
also when after you open it, like it interacts with the air, right? So it changes like the flavor of the whiskey. So usually after you let it rest for about a week or so, then it finally,
from a pour or from the bottle?
As soon as you open it, no, like the bottle itself.
Oh, okay.
Because you break that vacuum seal. So like about like a week after, you can change, like you'll be able to detect like some of the differences.
Gotcha. I mean, Nikka, I didn't realize how good it was because I was on the Yamazaki train. And did I tell you about the time that I went when we were in Japan? I went to this like whiskey library is what it's called.
Yeah.
Dude, we should do a Japan trip and do that actually.
Dude, I want to.
No.
They even have better bourbon. They have better American whiskey in Japan.
Yeah. They curate not just their own, they curate everything. Right? Yeah. And then when they give you flights, it's not like just like it's like segmented. It is like truly, if you want a flight, they're gonna be like, all right, let's get the whole spectrum. And then there's like 20 different glasses going. Oh my god,
yeah,
it's incredible.
That sounds like so much fun. I want to go to Japan with you guys next time.
Oh my god, let's do it.
Okay,
I'm down.
I mean, once this is over, I know that the travel industry is just gonna be fucking bonkers.
Booming.
Yeah.
Because right now you can go to Hawaii for like $300. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you go to Korea for like 400.
I know.
Maybe
the house that we just
pick
bought
up some airline stocks.
Yeah.
You know what?
Wall Street bets.
Yeah, for real. This is our new GameStop.
For sure.
Yeah,
you guys here first.
Don't publish this.
Like you guys have been following my Instagram. You guys have been talking about, like, if you guys have been following, you guys have been hearing me talk about like the economy. Like, this is our Wall Street bets right here, right? Like,
all right.
Bloomberg. We'll figure it out. We'll let you guys know. Yeah.
We may not let you guys know.
I'll look into it.
In fact, you shouldn't listen to any of us for your investment advices.
So
disclaimer.
It's true. I'm not a CFP, so please do your own research. I'm just saying this is what I do, or maybe not.
Wait, do you do that?
So, anyways, Phil, let's talk about the Corolla you got from Rob.
Yes.
So, how did you come about getting that Corolla, like with Rob, and how did that all come about?
He hit me up. He's like, "Yo, probably want to build a Corolla." Oh, I'll do his voice. So you're not thinking about a Corolla? No, he basically hit me up and he's like, he wants something so that when he comes back from Hawaii, he has something to play with. And At first, I didn't know he was thinking about a Corolla. And then all of a sudden, I see a text message, I think from Melvin Del Rosario. And he shows me this picture. And it's basically this like bare chassis SR5, like, you know, Corolla. That's just no windshield, no windows, like straight up, like, what the hell? On a trailer. And he's basically like, about to bus back to Chicago. I'm like, what? Maybe like a day later, Rob hits me up, just bought a Corolla. You know? So then it starts like, oh, light bulbs, right? Then they connect.
Yeah.
And then it starts to happen. Takes it to TF, you know, Mike and them, they, you know, go through it with Rob to like, so he could like put the parts together. Also, during that time, I didn't know he was actually doing the beams in there. So the beams is going in. I think, I don't even know what it was, but I might have been distracted with some other shit or whatever. But I know that he got it in the works, but I didn't know what beams was going into it until a little bit later. And then I think I found out because he was talking to like Mark Panic Wiring, you know, to like actually figure out maybe like some specs of how to wire it up. And then I was like, oh, you're doing the beams. Beams ends up happening. Car's super dope, super clean. And he showcases it, I believe, Final Bout 2. Little did I know that, well, actually, I don't know if it's little did I know, but he ends up having twins shortly after that. And so now he's got obligations. Am I going to be a good dad, or am I gonna take care of this Corolla, right? Essentially. So he opts to be a better father. Nice job, Rob.
Good job, Rob.
So he's kind of like tickling the market to see, you know, what he can get. But ultimately, this is the part. Little did I know that he was building it in mind to think about like selling it to me, you know? And so, you know, that's love, right? Because he knows that for the longest time, I've been trying to get another Corolla, but my work, then I ended up getting into this moment where I started making excuses for myself. Oh, you know, this Corolla, someone sent it to me, but I got to work, you know, I got to work on this and I got to make sure I got money for this, right? And I think for not having it for so long, it got me to the point where I started kind of making excuses so that I don't have to jump back into it. Because for those that are already in it, they already know the heartbreak of what it is to also love cars and build cars and work on it, right? Because it's not just a straight shooter where you love it, you go buy it, you put it together, and everything is all good, right? It's heartache, heartbreak, shit don't work, what the fuck, something broke, this rusted, I gotta find this, where is this, discontinued. And that heartbreak was the part that I was, I think, unconsciously trying to avoid. But essentially when Rob kind of told me he got twins and he's trying to sell it, it gave me a little bit of spark of like, you know what, I want to see him like be this father, and also like, you know what, like I want a Corolla too. So it kind of worked out. And then I ended up buying it off of him, and since then, I don't know, it feels funny to have it because I didn't build it, but at the same time it was kind of made in light of what he thought that I would also like too. So I really appreciate, you know, sitting in the cockpit and knowing that it's our car in that way, right? It's not just like he built it and I ended up buying it. Like I felt like really, I feel more personally connected to it, even though I didn't put my hand in the motor and the motor mounts and like figuring out the logistics of how to get it all to work. I feel like, yeah, it's like our car in that sense.
Yeah, but do you appreciate it any less because of that?
Say again?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, hon.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was essentially a car that was built for you. You
know? Yeah, without me knowing, right? Like it was a beautiful feeling, right? To realize that and have being told that, because you know I observed it happening and seeing it as like, hey, welcome to the Corolla Club, right? And really being excited for him and like, you know, maybe even getting a step forward into, oh, okay, you know what? I should get one too. And then that way we could play together. Not knowing all along, he really was holding this whole like, hey, like I want to play with this for sure. But I think also, you know, this is built in the way that he would appreciate it. And it was a beautiful, like a beautiful gesture, you know?
I mean,
special.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, does it make you appreciate like the Corolla any less because you didn't build it?
No, I mean, I wish it was a 4AG still, but you know, but at the same time, you know, this is what makes it our car, right? Like if it was my car, I'd be like, hell no. But because it was also him in the mix where he's also different than me, right? Where if you want to think about, you know, the partnership of him and me with ClubFR, we weren't the same. We were very balanced. We were very opposite, you know, and I think that might have been why like we have more staying power, because he had a certain direction, I had a certain direction, and the effort for us to find a middle ground is what created this better fitting piece that still survives, right? So with this Corolla, like I would have built it with a 4AG, you know what I mean, T50 transmission, right, and just the OG way. But he's also thinking about like the headache and the impracticality, and he also is thinking about, you know, modern technology, you know what I mean? So really like him thinking about the beams totally made sense, you know, and I really do love that, because he didn't have to build a Corolla with that idea, right? He could have just done a continuation of a Miata, but he's decided to take steps backward in terms of like automotive technology from where he was as a Miata, a 99 Miata, and go into the 80s, right, but still incorporate like a 2000 series, like, you know, type of technology into it to forge this like middle ground, you know? Maybe he didn't intend to, but that's how I'm seeing it. Yeah. You know?
It's about balance.
Yes.
Quick question. Mm-hmm. What is beams?
So beams is a Yamaha motor that basically they put in the IS200, the Altezza. So in the States, we see it as the IS300, but the beams motor was made for the IS200 series, which was for the Japanese market and I believe the European market as well. Okay. So fuel economy is obviously big. So 3.0, you know, 2JZ NA versus a 2.0 3SG. And then that motor also comes from the Celica, like the family as well. So it's a continuation from that too. So it's like in terms of like Toyota's history, like a very unique motor, very cool motor, you know, and very, very like, I think worthy of respect and praise, right? But in terms of a purist of a Corolla, right? Like, you know, especially in 2021, you know, really people are more about like the purity of vintage, right? Whether it be clothing, music, etc. And I think when they look at a Corolla, the imagination is a 4AG, and I'm with there too, right? But again, like this car is more personal in that sense, where it's like a hybrid between like his philosophy and my philosophy kind of coming together, and I think it's great. Now if the beams goes, he can't say nothing about it, right? But you know, but yeah.
But at the same time, like, how many 4AG powered Corollas are still out there actually just being used?
Oh yeah, there's a decent amount. I think the West Coast is really doing it. Yeah, I think the guys in Long Beach, you know, like what's his name, Saturday Night Special, and them boys, you know what I mean? What's his throwing hands, or what they called? They got like the Mickey Mouse hands. This is me not being. This is showing my age, but
dude, I've been out of drifting for 10 years, so like it's all news to me.
I wasn't sure if you're like watching it adjacently or not, but essentially like looking hands, right? I think is what they're called. Okay. There's the cats out there that really are going back to getting TEs, KEs, like 70, 71s. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're getting into AE86 Corollas. They're hitting the old Celica Supras, which were fucking awful cars, if you will, but then they're really rebranding it and bringing new life to it. So I think like seeing that, they're really doing it up where they're keeping the 4AG like mantra, 3 TCs. So I really love that, love seeing that, because people my age, if they don't already have a 4AG, they'd probably rather do a Beams motor or or they'd rather, I don't know, hopefully not, but like yeah, exactly. I've seen some KAs in Corollas, and that's weird to me.
Yeah.
You know, because Toyota, you have so much more to choose from, I feel like. But,
that's true.
But yeah.
And Toyota builds better motors. Let's be honest here.
That's my personal opinion. Yeah. I mean, you know, I love seeing 1JZs in like S chassis, but you know, SR20s and other things.
Just
I'm like,
so much more money. They have so much more money than Nissan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry to say it, like, it's just a fact. Yeah. So, like, of course they're gonna end up with better engineering.
Yeah, but your resale value is a lot better with Nissan.
Yeah, because they're cooler. They're considered cooler, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, no. I mean, like, you get to get into it cheap. I mean, well, maybe not now, but I think like Nissan's like they don't hold their value as much as like a Toyota or a Honda would.
Oh no, they don't hold their value, but they're starting to appreciate at like a very high rate. It's like alarming how quickly they're appreciating.
So you guys are essentially talking about like S13s and 14s, right?
Yeah, or even 15s.
Well, no, even 15s and like the stuff we never got, like R32s to R34s.
Yeah.
Because they're finally becoming available, so everyone's like buying them now and sitting on them. Like the business idea we talked about. Like 10. How many years ago was that?
That was 2018.
Okay. So yeah, we wanted to buy up like R34s and just sit on them before they got too expensive.
Yeah. I think it's still possible.
Yeah, but they're too expensive, and so it's like not worth doing now.
But at the same time, there will be a premium on that down the road as well. Just as the cost went up, the premium will go up too.
Well, had I been smarter, well, no, I was gonna say, had I been smarter as a kid, I have family in Toronto. I could have bought it, registered in their name in Canada, and had it for the last 10 years. But you live and you learn.
I mean go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying whatever what Hoeun was saying is like, I also think about it as like people being able to like 911s back in the day. Like I remember going through like autofocuses and shit, and you would see like a 993, a 991, 20,000, 17,000, right? Wow. Now what are they? Ticking up to six figures, if not six figures, depending on the condition, right? So so it's also being ahead of the game, right? You know. So yeah, we can forecast. Honestly, my prediction is that for me, first of all, my first love of cars came from lowriders, not drifting, not Japanese cars, and so I still have subscriptions to a lot of this shit, and I get like 1961 to 1966 Impala catalogs where you can essentially build one from scratch, right? Floor pans, frames, the whole line. They have kits out there too, right? And I believe that if we as a Western society that really does value this S chassis drifting, I foresee Nissan potentially in the future, maybe 15 years later, there'll be a catalog just like that, where you can buy that damn door handle. Because like, I mean, as long as it's about intellectual property, I understand that. Yeah. Right.
So they're bringing back like the GTRs, right? Nismo and like Mazda just announced they're going to bring back FCs and FDs on top of the NA Miata.
Really?
Right? Yeah. But here's the thing. Those were made in such low production numbers. Those costs for those individual parts are going to be astronomical. If you think about OEM parts, like original dashes, they were like $1,300 in like '93. So now they're going to be like $4,000 for a
But I think you're okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're speaking from like the entry OEM, the OEM, right? But I'm talking about releasing the actual molds, right? We're talking about in a new society, we have 3D printing technology available, right? You know what I'm saying? Accessibility is way different, right? So it's the possibility. I'm not even saying that it's a prediction. I'm just saying there is a possibility.
There's a market for it.
Yes, and there's definitely like it's gonna be us.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be like what
60 years old with a shit ton of money, and we want to talk about our past, and we want to do something about it, right? That's what I'm talking about. Because that's essentially what these catalogs are for.
Where it's gonna be like Jay Leno, where he has his own workshop dedicated to servicing his own cars.
Exactly, because he got the money.
And the thing is, it's actually a great idea because the whole prototyping is getting cheaper and cheaper by the day. And with the additive manufacturing, it could be very easily had in a manufacturing process that wasn't back then, and it could be smaller scale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very true.
I feel like that is a real possibility, and I'm also hopeful for it, right? Not to like attack purity or OG status or whatever. Like I think I'm getting to the point in my life with like how I love cars, where it's like, you know what, as much as it's dope to have like some OEM shit, it's like it'd be cool if people really wanted that and they're finding ways to produce that because that's how much they love it, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
And I feel like with cars, as they get older, you just get to a point where you just want to keep them on the road. More so than finding a car.
How dope would it be if if I make it to like 80 years old, let's say, and I'm for some reason sitting in my Brit Zeta 3 fucking bucket seat with my Takata harness. You know what I mean? Like how crazy of an image is that, right?
Yeah.
But I would love to want to make sure that I get to express my passion for who I am today still another 40 years down the road, right?
But that's why we gotta shout out to like the people like in Japan who are still doing it. They're showing us that it's still possible.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You know, I mean, we don't have to be the carbon copy of our parents, right? Where they had to grow up so fast that they're fucking old and rickety by the time they immigrated here, right? We get to really now like dive into our passions, and then hopefully we get to continue expressing that so that other people may catch on to it, and we get to keep that going.
Right.
You know, because it's so fucking foolish to dump all this money onto 14-inch wheels and shitty tires. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta dump it into my kid now, so I gotta.
Or you don't have to. Maybe your kid could starve for a little bit and understand what struggle is like, and then you can just call it an education. You know what I mean? To life.
Yeah, but then I'm doing the same thing that my parents did. Right? It's the same cycle.
As long as you don't whip out the belt or tell somebody to go find me a switch to punish me, I think you'll be progressive. You know?
Yeah, all right, that's fair. So then, all right, so like let's talk about the because I think people want to know like, besides the beams, like what else is done to the
current one?
Yeah,
the current one is all suspension. I mean, I think it's a suspension beast. I mean, you have what T3 arms, control arms. You got Battle Garage. Oh no, Battle version.
So T3 is techno toy tuning for those.
Yeah, techno toy tuning. Yeah. Battle version, tie rods. Battle version is basically like the most OG Corolla parts manufacturer in this country. I mean, it's Alex Pfeiffer, D1 driver.
Oh, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Right? I mean, the first time I met him, that first weekend, I unintentionally saw his dick because he wanted to really show people his dick instead of saying hello. But you know, if you're watching, I mean, yeah, that's his. That's on brand.
Don't worry about it. Yeah,
that's on brand for him. But yeah, what else? Let's see. This time it has a Cusco 2-way.
Nice.
Or 1.5 way, but it's a Cusco. Because it's Rob. See, Rob likes to spend that money, you know?
Yep.
I'll be like, let me get that Kaz. But he's like, let's get that money for that Cusco.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I think it's just like a really. Oh yeah, he got the equal length boxes from Technotoy Tuning, so that the travel of the rear end actually has level with the 4 link arms to the frame.
So for the people who aren't aware, the Corolla was built in Phil's is built in 1985, but it's got suspension from 1905.
Yeah,
with,
basically
the live axle, basically. So.
On the rear end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, without getting too nerdy about it, I mean, like part by part, I think the car is like well suited for the track. It's well suited for drifting, and it is poorly suited for the street. And I like it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I wish there was, here's what's funny is Rob handed me a car off to take off his hands that would have, like, my 25-year-old self would have been like, yes, now? Why is it so noisy? Why is it so loud?
Yeah.
Where are the seats? I want a radio. Like, I got the exact, it's just deferred.
So you can have, exactly, I realized you can have the same car, look at it at 25 and look at it at 40 and feel completely different about it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I hate driving up to, like, from here to US Air is like 3 hours. And it's just like mostly like country roads, hillbilly roads, and like a couple interstates. And no matter where I am, no matter how fast I go, the shit is loud and rattly. But I also know that 15 years prior, 20 years prior, or 10 years prior, I would have been like, this is awesome, right? Like, it's super mechanical. I could hear everything moving. I could hear all, you know what I mean? Now I'm just like, oh, I just want to listen to this
I'm so connected
podcast.
with the car.
I want to listen to this podcast and I can't hear it.
So that's the thing. Like, here's the thing. What people don't understand, like the purity. People think like, oh, purity. And like, I want to make the most hardcore dedicated track car possible. And they think like, the way to do that is to get rid of weight, and they think like getting rid of weight is free, but like no, getting rid of weight is very expensive because if you get rid of weight, you get rid of comfort, and if you get rid of comfort, you drive it less. Therefore, you make the car way more expensive to drive every time.
Ooh, There should be like a little like understudy, like an independent study class at some university.
It's just like it's right. It's just like
so
the philosophy of like your car. It's just the philosophy of like how you build a car. Like you say like weight savings is free because you can just rip shit out, but it comes at the cost of being able to drive it.
Yeah, so true.
There's an opportunity to cost to every decision you make.
Yeah,
whether in cars or in life, right? So
yeah, it's balanced. Everything's balanced.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So like nowadays, like I'd rather just like take like that's why like with a Mach-E or like even like the Bullet Mustangs, right? All I would do is just like get like lowering springs and like get some like wheels or like spacers actually, and then just like call it good.
Whoa. So okay. So how would you respond to someone saying like, "It's just an old ass man now. That's all that is."
I would say that is also true. I'm closer to 40 than I am 20.
Yeah.
So I'm not offended by that statement.
Yeah.
I still have my hardcore, right? I still have the FC, right? I still have the GC8 and I still have the Subaru, so like the GD. So like if I want to be tortured, I can be tortured.
You have your
I still
tools.
have that pure experience.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
But 99% of the time when I'm actually driving from point A to point B, I don't want that.
But see, I'll even say that the word that you used was tortured, right? Because 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been the word tortured.
No.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying, right? Like
this is the best, right?
Yeah. Like this is exactly like I love this. Well, who needs a radio? I got all this, you know? So I think it's kind of funny how that I mean, yeah. And so I get fascinated every now and then when I, let's say, go to like an old car meet and it's like some old rickety white dude that barely could walk on his own, but he's coming on with like a Camaro, 68 Camaro SS with slicks and skinnies. And it's just like, how you drove this here? You know what I mean? Like, is it respect or is it more like, do you have brain damage by any chance? Because
that's blessing. Yeah, to me, that's blessing.
Yeah,
because, you know, like right now we're talking about how annoying some of these cars are, like loud, whatever.
Yep.
But we'll get to a point where our backs can't handle the ricketiness, and or like our knees can't press the clutch down anymore.
To, like, get into the brid.
So like that old dude, that's a blessing. Like if I could do that when I'm that old, that's shit.
yeah, you're right. Absolutely, I agree.
That's true. So, anyways, lastly. The last thing I wanted to touch on was like Phil was like you, like with you, when I think of you, the only two things I think of are bicycles and cameras. So how did you get into like bikes and cameras?
Like bicycles?
Yeah, bicycles. Yeah. Like I got my bikes right here. Cycling was
see, it's right there.
Yeah. Got a couple of bikes right over here. So cycling was for me kind of not a placeholder, but kind of a placeholder for cars, right? So when I was trying to hustle with photography, that was where I had less, like having cars requires money for sure, but also like to enjoy cars and to have cars in the way that I wanted to have cars, it required like more consistency in my life, right? And when I was shooting, I would have to be able to take assignments or clients like that, right? And that meant the next day I gotta pack, gotta go. And I would go and I'd go get, the project and the money and then, you know what I mean, figured out that whole thing. But it would be always like a one-way ticket, right? So when that's the case, thinking about a car in a place in my age where I wasn't like consistent. I had like an apartment, right? And it wasn't like I don't know. I'm trying to get at basically I didn't have home base ever.
Yeah.
Right? And not having a home base and loving cars as much as I did, I think made it difficult to own a car that I really wanted to have without feeling like, maybe some people feel that way about like the dogs that they shouldn't have owned in the past, right? Where like they were always working and they're never home to like really love it and enjoy it. And I think in that same vein, for me, that was cars where I had opportunities and I had, to get something on the low, but it was just like, I didn't feel like it would be right to own that and have it rust out here, you know?
sit under a tree with like snow and all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so because of that, like bicycling kind of became this like this intriguing, like similar, like like auxiliary to it. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, all right, cool. Like there's bikes for commuting, there's bikes for racing. What kind of racing are you doing, right? And I really fell into the similarities that it afforded me, so I got to fall into it. And yeah, I got into like track racing, time trials. Wow. And I got into, you know, like building those type of bikes and like investigating like those type of races, but didn't feel quite the same. So which is why like it's kind of boiled back down to it's just a commute and I can have fun with it, but I don't really want to seriously race it, right?
Yeah.
Right. But cycling was for me to kind of, I think, partially appease the desire for wanting to build a car and having that sense of like community, which I didn't find. You know, I think cycling is way more exclusive, and I think cars are more inclusive.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cameras,
to some degree, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Obviously, you can talk about.
You have your car communities, right?
Exactly. But cycling, I felt like it was the binary was there was less gradation, right? Either you're doing it super seriously or you're just writing it because you have to go to work, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But with like cars, I think there's, you know, different levels, or maybe I didn't spend enough time in that community to discover the different levels. But in cars, there was like your teenage kids, and then you have like the people that just want to look cool, the people that want to drive fast, you know what I mean? There was like a lot more that I got to see the layers of owning a car or within a car community that it didn't
we've also been in it a lot longer, so we can see like the cascading
effects. Yes, very true.
But I think you're correct in that, you know, cars definitely have more, you know, facets, you know, like different ways to be enthusiast of than bicycles, because like bicycles, there's like like you said, there's people who seriously race, and then there's people who just ride divvies, and then there's you know, in between where guys somewhat serious, you know, likes to work on his like single speed bike or something like that.
Yeah, BMXers. You know,
but nothing like more than that. I feel like it's not as diverse as what cars bring to the table.
Yeah, but very similar though, right?
Yeah, it's like a smaller scale of it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And
just real quick to interrupt, Divvy, for those who don't know, is like the Chicago bike rental service. Like you just put in your credit card. It's like
City Bikes in New York.
Yeah, City Bikes around the world.
City Bikes in New York. What is the other one? They got like the Lyft scooters in LA, you know.
Yeah. So anyway, it's like how did you get into like photography and stuff?
So cameras was kind of more of a birth out of just industry, right? So like I got into photography. Honestly, I remember just being told during a yearbook. No. I was working for a newspaper in college. Shot a couple photos for an event just because I was like, fuck it, I got a camera. Someone said that I should try it. And the photos came out well. I got a lot of responses. It got republished in like USA Today or something like that, right? And then at that point, an editor's like, hey, I didn't know you were a photographer. And I was like, I didn't know either, right? And at that point, it was kind of like, what can I do with this, right? And so just kind of dove into studying, like, all right, like, what does it mean to be a photographer? You know, again, like inward look into, if this is my identity, how is this going to look, right? And so studying who have done things before me and looking at the types of photography out there, and I just started kind of tooling around, and it became something that I ended up focusing in with streetwear in LA, and then menswear kind of more like New York, LA, and then kind of found, I don't have like a specific voice, but I found like my technical ability and like my eye to kind of have like a space within consumerism and photography. So kind of went that way, you know? And then from there, dove more into like, you know, film more so because everything was starting to become digital, right? So I try to like hold that part of it, similar to like having a Corolla, right? Where it's like everyone's going towards more technology, more modern, you know, like automotive advancements. And like, I really want to hold on to this older car you know what I mean, for the things that I really am attracted to for it. So, and then now, like, you look at today where film is coming back, right? And I think that's super dope. And I really like that. I feel validated that the things that I decided to hold on to, other people are coming back around to, right? And so I get to have another return to this community of people that are shooting film or starting to shoot film, and, you know, hoping that people are wanting to drive more Corollas from the 80s, like in the way they're trying to shoot more film. I think that's really cool, right? I want more people to go back to the things that were less complicated, if I can say that, you know, without insulting what technology and research and advancement has done for what's able for us to be more convenient. You know what I mean? I really like the artisan part of photography now, you know, while being able to serve in the industry, you know, in consumerism. And the same thing with cars, I guess. So for me, like, bikes and cameras both have a correlation to really the basis of why, like, I love, like, a Corolla, right? It's you know what it is, it's a car, but if you really want to take a little bit of time to dig a little bit deeper, you'll find that it feels a little bit softer. You know what I mean? It feels more intimate, and there's a more specialty to it than it is just to drive somewhere or just to take a picture. You know what I'm saying?
So so here's my theory on why people love or like get sentimental attachments to cars, and when people always say, like, they reference like character or personality in a car, is because they're technical flaws. Like, you don't know how to necessarily quantify it or express it, but it's just some flaw that only you know, right? Like, only I know this thing about this car, so we developed a sentimental bond. It's because I took the time to learn, or I discovered this flaw. So this is its personality trait. It's a quirk that I enjoy, and that's why we develop attachments to it. It's just like the same reason why we develop attachments to people, because we're flawed.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. That is beautiful. So. Go ahead.
I feel like with cars, you know, like, closer it gets to perfection, right? Like, quote unquote perfection, it would become more boring, I would say.
Yeah, of course.
I think they get used less, and then because they're like in the 7 figures now, right? And they don't get driven. They just get collected and let them appreciate.
Yeah. Who's to say that those cars also don't have their flaws?
Exactly.
They're made by Italians. Oh, sorry.
So then does that make Koenigsegg the perfect car then? No,
Koenigsegg has flaws too. Koenigsegg has flaws. Everyone has flaws.
Yeah.
There are limits to, like, manufacturing technology, right? Like, there's no limits to dreams, but there are limits to what we can make. That's why there's no perfect car.
Right. And more philosophically, you're like, human beings are inherently imperfect. So like, anything that we make will never be perfect. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. You can engineer the shit out of it as soon as you have to put your hand on it. You know what I mean?
The entire human platform is flawed.
I mean,
you know?
Yeah.
And you gotta understand, like, Koenigsegg is a very small company, so they still have a budget, right?
For sure.
They have to build the car too. They can sell it for an unlimited amount. It doesn't mean people will buy it. So there's still business case they gotta balance.
So what car manufacturers, designers are there out there that really don't have to as strongly respect the bottom dollar and really truly create? Who's out there that's still doing that?
Tesla. Unfortunately,
even still.
Yeah, because Elon's still the chairman.
So like, okay, so but there isn't the business arm of that branch of his entity that's still looking at numbers, red, black. You know what I mean? Like,
sure, for sure they do it, but ultimately,
so he has more wiggle room.
If Elon doesn't care. If Elon doesn't care, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? He has to agree, ultimately. He has to sign off.
I suppose.
And actually, Ford too, because ultimately, Bill Ford doesn't sign off. Like, it's not going to happen.
Really?
So like, so like, you know how, like, everyone's complaining, like, how the Mustang Mach-E is like an electric CUV, so it's sacrilege to call it a Mustang. But ultimately Bill Ford, like, gave that rubber stamp, and he's just not going to say, like, he's not going to put his name on anything, right? You got to think about it that way.
I actually heard a very good argument for the name being a Mustang for that particular car, and I thought it was pretty convincing. I don't know if it's true on the internal side or not, but was that, you know, for Ford to bring out a CUV that's electric and they name it to something like Aspire or something like that, no one gives a fuck. You know, like no one will talk about it. But when you name something a Mustang, there will be a lot of people who hate it. There will be people who
Everyone
it's
has
just
an opinion.
controversial.
Yeah.
So it's like it'll be talked about.
But they're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that makes perfect sense.
I mean, that's a marketing decision, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a marketing decision, so I don't know. But yeah, it does make a lot of sense intuitively. But you guys want to try the JMO?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I like it.
Oh, have you
You already had it, or were you just drinking it?
No, I was trying to compare the two. Remember earlier?
Oh yeah, we were sure.
Pretty good. But, excuse me, gentlemen. Let me go take a piss real quick.
Cool.
Let's take a real quick break, and then we'll wrap up.
All right, cool.
And we're back. So, yeah. You guys want to try this this JMO?
Yes. I liked it.
It smells like fruit. It smells like gum and fruit.
Yeah, it does smell like candy. You taste it on the back of my tongue.
It smells like nail polish.
Oh, but it burns.
Yeah, it's like an IPA. Yeah. Oh. Ooh. It's got that JMO. It's like JMO plus IPA.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like this one.
This to me doesn't taste bad, but it feels like a pumped-in exhaust audio. It's like the flavors are sort of artificial.
Yeah.
And
good way to put it.
Yeah, it's like it's okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it on the shelf.
The IPA is definitely overpowering.
Yeah.
It says notes of crisp citrus, clove, spice, zesty hops. And I'd say that's pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah, it is very accurate.
Yeah.
But it's like very engineered drops of flavoring. No, it almost tastes like.
It's IPA flavor with like a whiskey body.
Yeah. This is a hangover.
Yeah. So, okay.
I can imagine myself ordering shots of these after a Cubs game at a Cubs bar.
Sure, right here, dude.
And you would enjoy it. It tastes good, you know?
Right. It's like you're amped up.
Yep.
But then that shit will I could see the worst hangovers. Like
that's what that is.
Even at 80 proof.
Oh, yeah.
Us, well, me being the only Asian, but you guys having Asian parents, we're gonna grade this, but we're gonna do it on the Asian parent rating scale.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with we'll go in order with the nikka.
Okay.
What would you rate this on? What grade would you give it?
It's been too long.
The bottle is very pretty. I mean, I think it's, I like presentation too. I'm not looking at the actual bottle, but it's back there.
right. It's fine. You
I got it back there. I know what it looks like. I got it right back. But it's like, I don't know. I like the way it feels, the way it pours. I like it cold. I like it room temp. I don't know. It's something that I felt like a peatier whiskey I wouldn't like that I actually end up really liking.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sweet on the nose. Doesn't make me have too much rage after drinking it either. I think that's like a thing that they don't know how to really quantify, but I think they should. Because certain
rage
booze,
factor?
Certain booze I drink, I might be in a great mood before, but I'll be wanting to fight somebody after. But there are certain booze that just kind of like really helps me relax and enjoy.
They should have like rage points.
For real.
Rating. And all the tequilas will be up in like the 10s. Because everybody fights when they drink tequila. I don't know why.
Not me. I know.
That's the agave.
I don't either. I love tequila. And
I like spirit of the agave, man.
So what would you rate it? Fine. What about you, Hoeun? Like we'll still go back to you. So.
Taketsuru?
Yeah.
See, the thing that I'm debating is, do I give between this and the hibiki, which one do I put on top? Because to me they're both like B minus B range ish. Like, but who am I gonna give B minus to, and who am I gonna give like B to? Or maybe it could be like B and B, I guess. Okay. But
okay, so then what are you debating? What are the strengths? What are the strengths and weaknesses of each in your opinion?
So I would give the hibiki the B plus and taketsuru the B, but I personally would pick the taketsuru as my personal drink.
Why would you rate it higher?
Because like to me, the nikka is like it's like more raw. You know, there's more. There's like slightly more like, you know, like smoothed out edges. But I like that better. Whereas like the hibiki is like too like polished, so it gets high marks. But I would personally pick the other one.
Okay, so then you're gonna give hibiki the B and then the taketsuru the B minus,
or like, you know, B minus plus. I don't know, just slightly, you know, not by like a whole grade, but like just slightly.
Okay,
like
so like an 80, so like an 85 and like an 83.
Yeah.
Okay. So then
C's get degrees.
Yeah. What would you rate the JMO? What would you rate the JMO?
JMO is C's get degrees.
C's? What about you?
JMO. I feel like JMO is like me, where professors looked at me and it's like, he's a really good kid, and I don't want to like fail him, so I'm gonna give him like a C minus, but in reality, he should have a D plus.
So we should pity the JMO. You're saying we should pity the JMO?
Yeah.
At least he's trying. It's trying.
Okay,
the flavor is like all there.
Oh man.
You know what? I would agree. I would also give it a C minus just because it's got the Chicago flag on it.
Well,
just for that fact alone, it deserves the pass.
Points down.
It deserves the pass just because of the Chicago flag.
Right. Like I don't want to fail the kid, but like he should definitely be failing for sure.
Oh man, you guys are too nice. I'd put the JMO. I would fail the JMO because I know the JMO's OG. I know the JMO's older brother. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm a professor.
Yeah.
And like, hey, I've already taught your older brother. He's not like you. Why are you such an asshole? You know?
See, you're like my calculus teacher. She really didn't give a fuck. She gave me an F. Whereas whereas like my bio teacher,
shit, my camera battery died. Keep talking.
Sorry. But like, you're like my bio teacher like was like, okay, I should have failed you, but I gave you a passing grade because I like you.
Oh my god. So effort is the important part of Jameson.
Yeah. Because it's trying to reinvent itself so hardcore.
Yeah.
It's like, but at the end of the day, it's JMO with just some cheap cologne on top.
Okay, so if nikka is a B plus, right? The taketsuru, right? What's the A?
Huh? What's the A?
What's the A?
I don't know. But that's the thing. Like, you know, like I guess for me, like when I like rate whiskeys to myself, I guess it's not like a top gear's like the wall times, right? Where it's like it's absolute, right?
Right.
But rather it's like it's like, but in the like the top gear rating, it's like the wet marks where it's like every situation is slightly different. So I might rate certain things higher one day than the later, but I guess the whiskeys that I tend to put on top are like bourbons that has like this minty cool like flavor, which they
who has a minty cool flavor?
I don't know, but I've had some of them and it's great.
Like Kentucky bourbon?
Yeah. So like I guess
really?
I bought a Buffalo Trace, like a regular Buffalo Trace, but like a store pick one time. So it's like a barrel that particular store picked out so that they have like a limited bottle of themselves, right? And
I didn't even know they did like that.
Yeah, so like those bottles, it's wildly different than what's being sold as Buffalo Trace because this is like one barrel that's just bottled and that's it, right? So it's very unique. So like I have one bottle of that, and I know that's the flavor that I'm trying to look for every time I'm trying whiskey out, because after this bottle's gone, that's it. Like,
but it's impossible.
Yeah. So that's the hunt that I'm on, I guess.
That's cool.
What'd I miss?
I mean, we're just talking about. I was asking what his A was since he rated Takematsu. What is it? Taketsuru on as a B plus.
Yeah, but like I guess it's, you know, it's like so easy to say that the most, you know, like popular and the most sought after and like the most expensive, you know, whiskey will be the best that I, you know, but you know, I guess I've I just like that when I had tasted that, it hit a different like note, of all the whiskeys that I've had. So like that, that to me personally, that's a unicorn flavor that I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Damn, I didn't even know it was like that. I mean,
go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking about like what we were talking about earlier with like the rising like value of like Yamazakis or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like the times that I was enjoying those drinks, I may not have been as appreciative of as I would be today,
Yeah,
and so
definitely.
like it kind of bothers me that it's expensive now. You know what I mean? Because it's like, man, like, did I squander those years not truly appreciating it? But like, obviously knowing enough to know to go in that direction, right?
So one time this was just me getting into bourbon, for the first time. It was actually similar with Earl as well. It was around the similar time, and we were going down to the Smoky Mountains to drive, right? And you from whether it's Michigan or like Chicago or even like Wisconsin, you go through Kentucky, and so we stopped by. We bought a bunch of bourbon, and we're just like, oh, we're just getting into it, whatever. And I bought this. So Four Roses Private Select is actually very at this point is very, very highly sought after. It was highly sought after then as well, but it was a lot easier to have, like, run into and come across. And at their gift shop, there was this like just stack of bottles that had signature of the last, like the distiller, like the master distiller, before they swapped people, right? And we bought a bunch of that. I gave them away to people as gifts. I took shots with it, because it was like barrel proof, so it was super strong, and my palate wasn't good enough to appreciate it, right? So I'm just like, this is supposed to be so good. So like I've squandered the shit out of that bottle. And
I still have mine.
do you? Is it like
the signed one? Let me grab it. Let me go grab it.
Is it new?
Yeah, I haven't opened it yet.
Oh my god.
Let me go grab it.
Oh my goodness.
So so I squandered the shit out of it, and I kicked my. I'm just like, I wish I could taste what that tasted like now. Now I'll know.
Yes.
It's such a shame.
Yes. Oh my god. So I guess we all have these kind of stories, then, huh?
And I think this transcends through, like, whether it's cars or like audio or
absolutely
whiskeys, sneakers, even.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the Gold Neck Jim Rutledge, right? The sign 2015.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
How much would you say that bottle's worth now?
I have no idea.
Like, if you could like give it a rough.
I don't know. I'm gonna put it up on Instagram. We'll find out. All right. OESF recipe.
Yes. Yeah. We'll find out.
Unopened.
Unopened. Yeah.
Damn.
Gold Neck.
Wait, is that the one that he gave you?
No, this one I was there with him.
We were. So, yeah, I definitely have 3 bottles. 2 of them I gifted it away, and I fucking like pounded the other one.
So Phil, how about when I go up to like whatever ClubFR event in October or whatever? Hoeun, come with me. We'll bring the bottle. We'll
for
sure.
It. All right. I'm with that.
Nice.
Oh no.
So I didn't hear the ratings though for the JMO. You failed it, Phil?
Yeah, I would say no. I wouldn't say F. I was just saying it out of like the way that y'all were grading it. But I mean, I might be nice, and I'm also probably out of practice. But the last couple months, I've only had Crown, Remy, whatever's left of the actual pure malt. Yeah, basically. So I'm in a different space, but in terms of comparing these 3, I think JMO, it is a little too extra, a little too much. Yeah. Like, it makes me think of it. It embarks those memories of trying to get fucked up and trying to smash somebody at the end of the night. Like, that's the vibe I got. But I really enjoyed how the way that it hit my nose, and the way that it really burned, and the way that it like kind of went down for the taketsuru. But the nikka I've already had, so I don't know. All right, so let me go into it. I will say B plus taketsuru, and then hibiki I'm gonna do B minus C, and then Jameson pass fail.
So did it pass or fail?
It did extra credit to pass. So,
okay,
you know.
all right.
I stayed after and wrote some more letters.
That was an audited class for me.
Okay. That's perfectly fine. So, all right. Then for me, just to close the off, I'm gonna say the hibiki. As much as I want to love it, the Japanese harmony, I'm gonna give a B minus. The taketsuru, I'm gonna give a solid B. So like an 87, right? Like solid B. And then JMO,
straight A's.
Like we don't care about the other two. We just want to know about this.
It's second semester senior year. I'm gonna give you the 60. Just get the fuck out of my sight, right? Just go. That's what it is.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. Have fun at college.
Oh, good luck. Yeah.
See, this goes to show.
Yeah.
That,
but anyways.
B students, whatever. It's better to just fail and fail spectacularly.
Yeah. At least you get talked about. Yeah. That's true, man. That's what they said. What does Kobe say? Like, no one talks about the good ones. Like everyone like only hates. What did it say? Fuck, I fucked it up. I'm gonna edit this, but it's like something. It's like some quote about like, only the great ones have haters because like, no one talks about the good ones. They only talk about the great ones. So maybe secretly JMO is the great one, right? Because we're still thinking about it.
I mean, yeah. Or you talk shit about like the horrible ones. You don't want to be known to be terrible either.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, this JMO is not a secretly great one.
Earl who? Earl Hoeun. Oh yeah. Oh, let me tell you about Earl Hoeun. Oh my god.
It's pretty
not
much
the way you want to go. Earl Q Hoeun, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Earl Q Hoeun. No.
Yep. Pretty much. Anyways, on
Welcome
that
to the
note,
podcast.
Yeah. On that note, I think we're done for the night. Thanks for being on, Phil.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll see you soon. I'll see you this weekend.
All right.
Phil, I'll catch up with you and Simba and Rob later this week about that other idea.
Yeah, let's do a one together.
Yeah,
for
sure. We will like towards the end of the season.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, cool.
Like once it's more fully fleshed and like we're like we kind of like step in together.
You're gonna be like Andy Cohen on Bravo. I see what you're doing. Ooh.
After everyone talks to each other. We'll have one
shit.
that brings everyone together,
Yes,
exactly.
Should have talked shit about them. Oh, sorry.
Cool.
I'll try to give you content later.
We'll give you 10 seconds.
Okay.
The last. But
yeah. So Phil, any last words or anyone you want to shout out?
No.
No.
Get the fuck out of here.
All right. I love you, bro, man. I'll see you guys soon.
I love you too.
Hey,
all right.
Thank you, man. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya. So, Hoeun.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what you've been doing this week and how you've been debating on whether or not you should buy another car.
Yeah. So, I was on Bring a Trailer. It always starts like this, right?
I don't go on Bring a Trailer anymore for that reason.
I was on Bring a Trailer, and the car that I saw off the bat was a Saab 9.3 Vigit. It's a car that I've wanted since like high school. It's a car that I've, like those like car magazines, and you see it, you're like, God, I wish I could have that someday. And it came up, so I'm not a regular visitor at Bring a Trailer, but I check from time to time. So there was that. So as I was scrolling through, there was also a 2003 Ford Focus SVT, the SVT Focus. It has 38,000 miles on it.
38,000?
Yeah. It's got all the right options except one. For those that don't know, I've had this car before. Again, I'm considering a car that I had Like I'm contemplating a two of the same car the second time. I bought the 1 Series.
So hold on. Let's rephrase that. So
Sure.
in case the listener didn't catch that, what Hoeun is saying is he's already owned a SVT Focus, and he already owns a 128i, a car he bought, the same exact car with the same exact options.
Yep.
He bought twice.
Yep.
Now he's planning on doing the same thing with the Focus SVT for some godforsaken reason.
You know what's funny is what replaced the SVT in the first place was the first 1 Series.
Oh god damn! Why? Everything's going full circle. Like Eugene started with that. Well, technically he started with the EK, but he bought the Miata, and now he ended up back in the Miata. You started with the SVT Focus. You're ending up back in the SVT Focus.
Yep. I mean, this thing is. Again, it's almost a 20-year-old car that has 38,000 miles on it. One owner.
That's impressive.
Like it's pretty nice. The paint. There's one dent on the rear fender.
So what?
But whatever. But this thing looks clean. Like this thing has the HIDs. The HIDs on these are so expensive, and you could never get them.
So why aren't you buying the car?
Well, it's on Bring a Trailer. There's 2 days left, so I'm just watching it very closely.
What's your price that you're willing to go to?
I'm hoping that it'll be under 6.
Are you gonna buy it if it stays under 6? Are you gonna put in a bid for 6?
I might.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it very seriously.
Okay.
Although the Saab, right? Saab that I saw that led me to this SVT has been sold, but it wasn't very good. But Saab 9.3 Viggen was a car that I wanted for a long, long time. And I found another one on the forums. And again, one owner. And this one has a lot more miles, though. It's got, I think it has like 112,000 miles or something like that. So this one's a lot, it's been used a lot more.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever.
What?
But it's cheaper. It's for sale right now.
How much?
4,200.
Yeah, but how long do you want to keep it for?
I don't know. Forever.
If you keep it forever, how long do you think it'll cost you in the long run?
I don't know.
Versus a Ford.
They're both very limited models, so I don't know if one is better than the other, because
who's got a better community?
For these, Focus at this point has a big community because of the whole Focus ST and all that, but it's not like the original SVT community was very large to begin with.
Doesn't matter. If you have better support, you have better support.
Well, here's the thing. The Saab, it's not like it's lacking any support either. So Saab itself used a lot of GM parts. So in regards to common things that will go wrong, it's actually shared with a lot of GMs of the era.
Yeah.
Just like the Focus.
Yeah.
But now it comes down to, like Viggen specific parts and like SVT specific parts. And I feel like the Viggen might be easier to get parts for.
If you say so.
I don't know.
So, I don't know. All I know is Ford still exists as a company. Saab does not.
That is true on the surface of it, but at the same time, for the Saabs, only company that made it out of the entire ordeal, from as far as I know, is Saab Parts, and they're actually still operating, making Saab parts in Sweden.
Okay. So then the parts become available for the Saab, unlike the SVT. But here's the bigger issue. With an SVT Focus, you can still go to any Ford dealership in America to get it serviced. With Saab, you have to find an independent mechanic.
Fair. Yep.
And those number of people who are knowledgeable in Saabs, those are dwindling by the year.
For sure.
So eventually, you're going to have to figure out how to do it yourself.
Yep.
So do you want to do it yourself?
So I've owned the Saab before as well. And I've done a lot of things on my own as well. Like, basic stuff, like it's no different than any GM cars of the era.
No different than any other car,
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Right.
You know, I was.
But what about the quirks?
I mean, it's got its quirks, but Saab quirks never really broke down that badly.
Okay, but
people
like,
think it does.
So like my GTI never left me stranded, but it always had like some weird electrical issue because it's a Volkswagen.
Oh, yeah.
So Saab's like with that Saab, are you
Saab
willing
has
to live
very
with that?
interesting electric gremlins.
Yeah, are you willing to live with that? Is what I mean, because
Yeah.
without that expertise, you're never gonna fix it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
I am willing to live with it. Is it worth saving $1,800 for that?
It's not about the money at this point, though.
Then what is it?
It's about cars that I've wanted back in high school.
So which one do you want more?
I don't know.
Well, you can afford both, so just why not both?
I don't have any space. Even now, like I don't know where to put it. If I get either of these, I park my 1 Series in front of my parents' garage right now, outside, snowed on and all that, and this new car won't be any different.
Just leave it in my place.
That's actually not a bad.
Especially once we move into the new place.
When is that?
Midsummer.
I was actually gonna ask, can I store some cars over there once your barn is built?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna charge you rent, but you can.
I mean, hopefully it's like the insider rate, and you won't rip me off.
I'll give you fair market value.
No, you should give me a, I don't know.
Fine, but you have to give me the keys. Give me the keys in case I ever need to move it, and I just need to move it for fun, and then I'll give you the insider rate.
Fine, but if you damage it, you're responsible.
Yeah, we all know the "you break, you buy" policy.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
You could drive it. No,
but you better leave it insured though. I'll let you know when I'm gonna move it, so you better leave it insured.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
I mean,
see, problem solved. So why not both? You can have it all, Hoeun.
I'm not gonna lie. The Saab is down in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I have a friend down in Atlanta that just bought a house.
Oh, so leave the Saab there and leave the Focus here.
I've genuinely thought about that, and
dude,
I'm still thinking about that.
Just ask him.
Oh, I will. Okay. I will. Hopefully, he won't hear this before I talk to him. Oh,
is he the one? No one's gonna listen to this podcast. Is he the guy who wants me to build the bike, or he was talking about building the bike?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Talk to him then, and then maybe I'll build his bike. We'll trade labor that way.
Well, you're gonna build this bike?
I'll build this bike
of me keeping my car down there.
You keep your car there, and then you get the Focus. You keep it in my place, but under the caveat, you have to modify the SVT, or the way I say so.
No,
because it's gonna be better than factory.
Why should you get any say in that?
Because it'll be better than factory. I'm the guy who works at Ford. I'm telling you, I'll make it better than factory.
Are you gonna put MagneRide on it? Can you put MagneRide on it?
I could if you pay for it. That's what I'm saying. So let me modify it.
How much is a MagneRide system?
Is it even available? We'll take it offline. We'll take this conversation offline. I'm gonna use my corporate speak. This is for a topic for offline meeting.
There should be some consideration, and we will come to a conclusion of that.
Okay.
There you go. I don't know. Here's the thing, though. I both of these cars, the Vigan and the SVT, they're very, very cars at the end of the day in its own right. And I don't know how I feel about just like I'm willing to mod it as long as it could be put back with the parts that have been taken out.
But why?
I don't want to permanently like.
If you're gonna keep it forever, and I'm gonna modify it better than the OEM, why does it matter?
I don't know. I have this obsession, I guess, with like when it comes to like rare things like this, I'd rather just keep it stock than mod it.
Yeah, but what about that Z-Tune, the Nismo Z-Tune?
What about it?
It's a factory car that Nissan bought back and then improved and then sold it again.
I'm okay with that. If the Ford company,
I work for Ford.
Yeah, but you're not Ford. You are part of the cog of the Ford. But I want the whole Ford to come out and be like, we will initiate a program. We're gonna take back all the SVT cars and we're gonna mod it to the things that we wanted in the first place, I
I'm
will
so
definitely,
frustrated.
I will definitely jump on that. I will pay what I paid for the car to do something like that.
Just buy a Ferrari then and be happy.
But no, that's stupid.
It's the Ferrari philosophy. We don't touch it, and if you touch it, you can no longer call it a Ferrari.
See that
we will sue you.
But I do fully utilize my cars though. Like I will abuse my cars.
So do Ferrari
owners. Properly use it.
So do some Ferrari owners.
But I don't know. Like it's like I guess at the end of the day, I subconsciously I dream of having like my own car museum.
Okay, I was gonna say you buy the Focus SVT.
Uh-huh.
I'll use it and maintain it, and I'll modify it, and then whenever you want to come and get it,
would you use it as like a daily, or would you use it as like spare
as needed?
As needed.
Yeah.
What if you needed it like every day?
I would need it maybe once a week, twice a week.
All right.
But like I said, I'll maintain it. I'll fix it or I'll repair it. I'll let you know whatever like it needs to be done. I'll locate all these hard to find Ford OEM parts if you're obsessed with OEM parts. But like I said, I'll modify it as better than factory because they'll all still be Ford. The Ford performance catalog is very big, bigger than you realize. Oh, so it's still all factory backed, which is great. I'm saying I can make it better than factory.
I mean, I don't even know if Ford Racing has like SVT parts.
I didn't say Ford Racing. I said Ford Performance.
Oh, I mean like Ford Performance.
They're rebranded.
Ford Performance parts. Well, why are you obsessed?
Even if it came out in UK or like in Europe, let me know because I know the team over in Europe.
Ooh.
This is what I'm saying. You forget this. I can make it better than factory.
Ooh. Well, let me ask you this. Why do you feel like you have to modify every car that you have in your possession?
Because every car is a compromise ultimately.
This is true.
If it's made by an OEM, ultimately a compromise has been made somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially car brand like Ford.
Yeah, even Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
So
at the end of the day, they have to make a business case out of everything that they make.
Exactly. The company has to have a reason to exist, and especially if you're making a product, there has to be a reason for that product to exist. Yep. But for Ford, for cars, it has to be a compromise because government regulations, design teams, marketing, finance, the engineering, what consumers will buy, right? Mm-hmm. Like all of that has to coalesce, and that ultimately is what makes a company successful or not in the automotive industry.
Yep. So because you have to compromise on that product, which is why I'm saying I can make it better than factory, because the factory ultimately has to compromise based on the set of restraints we operate with it. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with that at all.
Again, why would you not want an SVT Focus that is better than from the factory? Get the SVT Focus. Just buy it. Just put in the bid put in your max bid. See if you win, and if you win, like I said, I'll take care of it for you.
I mean, yeah, I will most likely place a bid unless I wake up tomorrow and it's like $6,000. Then I might not.
Okay.
But I don't think it's gonna get there. Yeah. And I guess this is my old habit of eBay back in the day. So I don't like to put in my bid until like the last whatever.
Why? Because it just extends the auction. If you put in a bid,
I know. On Bring a Trailer, there's anti-sniping features where it renews every 2 minutes, and that's fine. What I don't want is like me putting in my bid and someone else has a bid on it and it just drives itself. Us two drive up the price.
Right.
Then all of a sudden we're both like, fuck, this is high. Like,
so just put in $59.95, and if the guy outbids you, just put in $6,000 or whatever.
I mean, I like to make it suspenseful. I'll wait till the last day.
All right, dude. Whatever you say. Anyways,
I have my ways.
Okay, fine. Whatever. That's all I really wanted to cover today.
Uh-huh.
So we came in under time. Nice. Even though we went way off topic. So I think that's all I needed to talk to you for today. And our next episode, we're going to either have Rob Ryder or Simba from ClubFR depending on when these samples arrive to them, because Simba has not responded to my text until today. And Rob lives in Hawaii, and I've been very slow to ship these out.
Have you shipped them out yet?
No.
So it's not on the way.
No. So as of this recording, it is 2/17, which is what, Wednesday?
Today is a Wednesday.
Wednesday, February 17th. I have not shipped them out. I am planning to ship them out tomorrow, even though I said that on Monday. But if they get out there, it'll just take however long it takes to get to Hawaii, and then we can record it after that.
That is fine.
So we'll probably end up recording Simba first in all reality.
Okay.
Because he lives in Chicago, and so you guys will get the samples on the same day.
Okay. What is the next sample?
I have to look it up. Okay. All right.
All right.
Oh, you saw them at the hotel on Friday or Saturday, Sunday.
There were like 3 or 4.
3
bottles.
So it's Four Roses, Mitsui, and Crown.
Crown.
Yeah. The Crown Noble Expression.
Crown Noble Expression.
Or Noble Crown Royal Noble something.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'll send you the thing on Instagram. You guys will see it on Instagram if this makes it even to the show, the edit.
Yeah.
All right. Later, dude.
Later, yo.